CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. I'm Steve Young with your CFAX 1070 News to 6 a.m. Political analyst David Black says Carrie Lynn Finlay won the leadership of the Conservative Party of BC because she's an authentic champion of populism. The scholar says the former MP has amassed the right populist credentials during her time in federal politics, and her promise of a grand vision of fundamental change for BC may suggest the party will become more ideological than the former BC Liberals and BC United. Black also says the party will have to do some healing because it remains divided between populists and moderates. Finlay beat commentator Carolyn Elliott on the fourth ballot after the three other candidates, Peter Millibar, Yuri Fulmer, and Ian Black, were dropped during the preceding rounds. Emergency officials have downgraded flood warnings to flood watches for various areas in southeastern BC near the province's boundary with Alberta. Emergency BC says on social media that includes the Upper Columbia area and the Kootenay River area. A flood watch remains in place for East Kootenay areas south of Invermere, including the area around Fairmont Hot Springs, Fernie, Elkford, and Kimberley. Emergency officials in the regional district of East Kootenay, meanwhile, have issued an evacuation alert for 97 properties along Fairmont Creek in Fairmont Hot Springs. Postal workers set to find out if they have a new tentative agreement more than 2 years into their labor strife. The union will release ballot results today.
Some 55,000 members of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers began voting April 20th on a 5-year contract that includes wage increases of 6.5% and 3% in the first 2 years. Canada Post and the union have long sparred over wages and structural changes to the Postal Service, with workers having set up picket lines on multiple occasions. About 60% of the union board endorsed the proposed collective agreement, saying it ensures job security, but the union's president asked members to reject it, arguing it rolls back rights and compensation. Karen Rebo, The Canadian Press.
A new clinic could be in the cards here in Greater Victoria.
A potential clinic in View Royal could provide medical care to more than 4,500 residents in that area that currently do not have a physician. The proposed View Royal Community Primary Care Attachment Clinic would operate as an independent non-profit to tackle a primary care crisis in the town. An urgent need for medical care has become a growing concern across BC amid an ageing population and a chronic shortage of doctors. If approved by council, the clinic would be run by Aroga Lifestyle Medicine and would seek an initial $770,000 to get up and running. Coachcaden, CFAX 1070 News.
2 paddleboarders remain missing as of now. RCMP Corporal Katrina Bomer says police received a report on Saturday of 2 people who failed to resurface after paddleboarding on Browning Lake in Murren Provincial Park. She says police and rescue crews continued the search on Sunday. Police say the park remains closed, and anyone seeking updates about its status should check with BC Parks. Heated rivalry now holds the record for winning the most Canadian Screen Awards in a single year, and BC-born star Hudson Williams says he's feeling the love. Williams took home the prize for Best Performance in a Leading Role for his portrayal of Shane Hollander.
It's just amazing to see that there's just more Canadian content that's coming out that's resonating with people. They're vastly different, and it shows that we don't have to shoot somewhere else for Canada. We can shoot Canada for Canada, be proud of it, and it spreads.
The steamy series about rival hockey players who become embroiled in a secret years-long romance took home 16 awards in total. That's your news to 6:04. Today's CFAX 1070 News Poll: how much would a transit strike affect you? A lot, a little, not at all? You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Steve Young. What's happening? It's here on CFAX 1070. It's almost 6:06.
Well, thank you, Steve, and good morning. Great to see you here.
It's nice to be here. Sorry for stepping on you at 6 o'clock. I'm used to doing the news without an introduction.
Yeah, it's okay. I hadn't actually opened my mouth yet. I was about ready to say good morning, and then there was the news. It was okay. I just had some coffee. No, it's great to get you here. Steve, you, of course, are great on the news, but you're great on the sports. And we've got some sports guy Steve kind of action to get to a little later because, of course, on Friday there was the FIFA World Cup numbers that came out.
Wow.
How much will BC spend on this thing?
Wow.
And I've got questions, of course, because this happened Friday. I haven't had a show yet since then. So coming up, I'm hoping to pick your brain about that, if that's okay, Steve.
I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, that's happening in just a little bit, but let's quickly just mention the weather. Looking pretty good as we get into this Monday, June 1st. 25 degrees is a high temperature. I'll take it. A little wind, but full forecast is coming. It's going to be warm and sunny. That's the picture. Right now, over to the sports, and hey, we've got local baseball to talk about again. The Harbor Cat season is underway. They started on the road over the weekend. The Portland Pickles yesterday used a 9-run fourth inning to overcome what was a 3-0 deficit and then cruise to an 18-5 win over the Harbor Cats in West Coast League action. This was yesterday night on the road in Portland. That win gives the Pickles the series win because they won the series opener on Friday. The Harbor Cats now return to their home field for their home opener at Wilson's Group Stadium at Royal Athletic Park, where they will welcome the Edmonton Riverhawks. That home opener is tomorrow evening at 6:35. Other baseball, Toronto Blue Jays, who split a 4-game series with the host Baltimore Orioles, have an off day today before opening a 3-game series tomorrow against the Braves in Atlanta. Let's go to soccer, where Canada's national men's soccer team plays an international friendly tonight in Edmonton against Uzbekistan. Canada will attempt to avoid injuries, try to determine which goalkeeper will earn the start in net for the team's World Cup opener, which is June 12th. That's only a couple weeks away now. Now that we're in June, it seems like this thing's almost here. By the way, that opener, of course, against Bosnia-Herzegovina in Toronto. And Canada's got another friendly on Friday against Ireland. And the Memorial Cup is over. Sam O'Reilly had a goal and 3 assists. Jack Pridham had a goal and 2 assists. And the Kitchener Rangers defeated the Everett Silvertips 6-2 in last night's Memorial Cup championship game in Kelowna. The Carolina Hurricanes, who needed only 5 games to eliminate the Montreal Canadiens from the Eastern Conference Final, open the Stanley Cup Final Series tomorrow night against the visiting Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights swept the President's Trophy-winning Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final to get here as well. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports. It's 6:09.
Ancient Egypt, obsessed with life. Open soon at the Royal BC Museum, and CFAX wants to send you. Listen to Mornings with Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070 for your chance to win a 4-pack of passes plus dinner. More info at CFAX1070.com.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Taking a look out on the roads. We do have reports of a collision to start things off. This is on the Trans-Canada Highway heading in towards Victoria, so southbound, and it's just past Helmkin. Watch out for a collision there. If you've got any updates or if you go by it, let me know what it looks like. 71010. You can text us traffic tips. Hand-free safely, please. But yeah, collision, Trans-Canada Highway, southbound towards Victoria, just past Helmkin is the situation facing you right now. Otherwise, things are looking pretty clear. BC Ferries, no sailing waits. And let's get to that weather forecast. Sunshine with a high of 25 degrees today, although it could be quite a bit cooler if you're right by the Wantafuka Strait, if you got the ocean breeze there cooling you off. But inland, 25 degrees could be what we see. Partly cloudy tonight. We will see lows down to 11 degrees. Tomorrow, another warm one, highs of 25, mostly in the sunshine. Wednesday, clouding over, but still warm, highs of 23. Thursday, mix of sun and cloud, highs of 19. Then a chance of showers rolling in on Friday and maybe taking us a bit into this weekend. But just a chance of showers, and we'll see how that shapes up as we get closer to that in our long-range forecast. Right now, while we might be expecting eventually a high temperature of something like 25, it's quite a bit cooler right now to start the day. In Saanich by Swan Lake, for instance, it's only 7 degrees right now. In Langford, it's 8 degrees. North American stock markets will be opening a little later this hour. While we await today's first results, let's take a look at how things closed off on Friday with Aaron Sousa.
Canada's main stock index ended last week on a high note. Toronto's S&P TSX jumped 251 points to 34,769. In New York, the Dow added 363 and the Nasdaq inched up by 55. In Tokyo this morning, the Nikkei soared 604 points. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong rose by 215. Our dollar is trading this morning at 72 and 38 cents US. We're a month out from the July deadline for Canada, the US, and Mexico to begin talks on CUSMA. The US has suggested tough negotiations ahead. Prime Minister Mark Carney has said Canada isn't taking any direction from Washington. Postal workers will soon find out if they have a deal after 2 years of labor strife. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers has been voting since April on a new 5-year contract with wage hikes, and a strike by 300 signal workers at Canadian Pacific Kansas City began yesterday. The railway says operations won't be affected. Key issues, the union says, include wages and work-life balance. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, good morning. Welcome to June. Here we are, June 1st on this Monday in Victoria. Beautiful warm day to kick things off. We'll tell you more about the weather forecast as we go. We'll also talk to Steve Young, who's filling in for Lisa on the news desk. Steve, great to get you here. And you were actually broadcasting right here on Saturday night as you covered the BC Conservative leadership race, which ended in Carrie Lynn Findlay emerging as the new leader. So she will officially replace former leader John Rustad. It went to a 4th round of voting because they do that ranked ballot thing for the Conservative leadership where they go through rounds until somebody, I guess, finally emerges with over 50%, right? That's the goal?
Yes. And it was 51-49 your final.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like a sports score. So Carolyn Elliott was the second place finisher at the end of all that, but Carrie Lynn Findlay emerging as the new BC Conservative leader. So that's something to unpack today. We'll be talking all about that, Steve. But how did it go for you on Saturday? Actually,
Josh was very adept behind the board and did a great job. I thought it was kind of fun to do something different on, Saturday night at 6:00 wouldn't have been on my dance card normally, but that's when they had it. So that's why we were here. And it's a very interesting reaction. Watching and talking about it, there was some stunned people in that building.
Yeah.
The Rocky Mountaineer Center in downtown Vancouver. There was like half of them were cheering and half of them were like, what just happened?
Well, it seemed to me to be quite a divisive race where that party has sort of 2 directions they could go. There was 2 different camps. I mean, maybe there was more than 2. What do I know? But it did seem like there was this sort of sense of what is the soul of the party. This leadership race was all about that. But if one side was going to emerge, there's got to be a loser in that.
Absolutely. So, and I think there needs to, and David Black actually pointed that out in his comments that you're going to have to reach over to the other side here and come together, and all the messaging, because I came in around 5:15, so I watched the lead up because it was all on there, and everybody was saying, no matter who wins, we got to be together. No matter who wins, we want to be together. We can't let the NDP run this province anymore. And that message continued throughout the entire evening.
So the thing will to be, see if that sticks. Are they able to do this? Is the new leader, Carrie Lynn Findlay, able to bring it all together? We'll talk a lot about that today. We got a few guests joining us.
Good stuff.
To talk all about it. We have reached out to Carrie Lynn Findlay, by the way, to see, and who knows, maybe she'll make an appearance. We're waiting to see if we could get her to talk today or maybe a day down the road. So we are looking for that, but we do have several different experts to react as the day goes on. But right now, let's get to the news headlines. At 6:16, Steve, what's going on?
Well, thank you, Ryan. Food Banks Canada says Canada's employment insurance no longer serves the broader and shifting workforce as more people take up gig work or part-time jobs. In its latest poverty report card, the organization says the labor market has shifted towards part-time, temporary, and contract work, while EI only caters to a shrinking workforce that has stable full-time work with a single employer. An internal government document says data from an advanced electric vehicle, if it falls into the wrong hands, could be used to track people or carry out surveillance. The Public Safety Canada memo was prepared to address concerns about Chinese vehicles. It says connected vehicles collect significant amounts of data on Canadians that officials say can have intelligence value. The French Navy, with UK support, has intercepted another Russian-linked oil tanker under international sanctions. French President Emmanuel Macron announced Sunday's interception of the Tagore in the Atlantic. He emphasized the importance of enforcing sanctions to prevent financing Russia's war against Ukraine. Oil revenue is crucial for Russia's economy, enabling continued war efforts without economic collapse. France and other nations are determined to crack down on the shadow fleet. And today marks the first day of a closure of a section of the Galloping Goose Trail. Starting at 7 this morning, the portion through Viaduct Park will be closed to all pedestrians and cyclists till the end of the summer. It's part of the Victoria to Esquimalt cable replacement project. And that's your news to 6:17.
Well, coming up in a few moments, I haven't had a chance to react yet to this FIFA World Cup costs story. How much is it costing the BC taxpayer to have this happen in Vancouver in a little less than a couple of weeks here? So we're going to talk to sports guy Steve about that in just a moment. But I've got to tell you, Steve, first, there's so much happening on the show today. You might be wondering, when are we going to be calling the winner for the CFAX Summer of Rock? Well, yes, coming up at the 7 o'clock hour, we will be making a phone call to the person that we draw the name of the hat out of, or we're going to draw a name out of the hat. That's what I'm trying to say. And call that person. They will receive the tickets to see Motley Crue, that was last week's artist, in Vancouver in July. The accommodation by the Rosedale on Robson Street Hotel. The Helijet tickets. We got it all. It's all powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. So the winner of the Motley Crue tickets, that's coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. But there's also a brand new artist of the week because the CFAX Summer of Rock continues. It's AC/DC this week, Steve.
You know, you got to sell this better.
Okay, you do a better job. You do it. Okay, hit me.
It's the Summer of Rock on CFAX 1070. It's AC/DC you need to listen for, folks, today. Little Hulk Hogan in there.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, this is why you're here, Steve. You're helping me as my hype man for the Summer of Rock.
Little hype. Yep.
Also, we've got, so that's all happening. And on top of that, we're giving away this amazing prize pack to the Ancient Egypt exhibit that's coming to the Royal BC Museum. It's not just 4 tickets to the exhibit. There's also a $100 dining card and IMAX tickets. How's that for a night out?
I love the IMAX.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little Otter movie on right now there.
Oh, yeah?
I'm really excited about it.
I love a good sea creature movie. Anyways, so we've got the Summer of Rock. We've got these Ancient Egypt tickets to give away, which we'll be doing via trivia. We got some Ancient Egypt trivia for you in the 8 o'clock hour. That's how we're going to play that. So that's all to come. But right now, we'll take a quick break, traffic and weather, and then Steve's thoughts on the cost of the World Cup. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather at 6:22, and there is a crash on the Trans-Canada Highway just past Helmkin as you head in towards Victoria, so heading southbound. It's tying things up a little bit. It's a bit of a slowdown. So if you're coming down the Trans-Canada Highway and it seems a little bit extra backed up for this time of the morning, that's why. If you see what's going on, text me at 71010. I'd love a sense more of what's happening there. But I do know that's a situation you're facing so far on the roads. It's the only blip at the moment. For BC Ferries, no sailing waits. Everything's fine for the 7. Lots of vehicle deck space left. And in the weather, warm one on the way. Sunny with a high of 25. We'll feel a little cooler by the Wandafika Strait, per usual, where it'll be a bit breezy. But a very warm day on the way today in the sun, with the same again tomorrow, and mostly the same again on Wednesday, but it's clouding over Wednesday. But temperatures will be still into the mid-20s, it seems like, inland for Wednesday. Thursday, still a mix of sun and cloud, but back down to 19 degrees, and then a mix of sun and cloud, and maybe even some showers coming in Friday and the weekend, although we'll see what happens as we get closer to that. That's what's happening in your CFAX traffic and weather.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
So this happened Friday, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it because it was after the show was over. But the BC government, of course, on Friday, finally unveiling the cost of hosting the World Cup in Vancouver. And the big headline number was that it could reach $729 million, which for context is nearly triple what the province estimated 4 years ago when we were first, going over some of those numbers. The costs for hosting the match could change still, or matches, I should say, could change still, but that's at least what they're looking at right now. So Steve, let's get a little sports guy Steve action on here. First off, were there surprises there? I think we all kind of knew that big costs were coming, but what did you think of those numbers? Oh, we got to get get a button on there.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
I knew the numbers would go up. I've said that to you on this very show.
Yeah.
It just seems, and I think this I've said this before. It's one thing to spend money on Olympic Games because the infrastructure that we saw put in place for Vancouver advanced the entire province forward in a big way. You look at the infrastructure in Whistler, you look at the SkyTrain.
Well, that's true. Yeah, stuff beyond even sports. Like we built out the SkyTrain, that's right, to the airport.
Yeah, so there were benefits beyond sports. And the other thing was, the entire world was focused on one thing and one city for the entire time. So it was all Whistler and all Vancouver for an entire two plus weeks. This isn't like that. It's one of 3 countries hosting. It's one of, I think, there's a dozen cities all in all, and 2 of which happen to be in Canada, and it's 7 games in Vancouver. You could, if you just look at it, $729 million, that's $100 million a game.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that normal? Like, I know FIFA World Cups cost a lot of money, but it just seems like a lot to put on the taxpayers. And what do you get for it? Like, I guess I'm trying to figure out, why is it worth it? Why would anybody want to have these things in their city if the taxpayer needs to put up this much money to make it happen?
That's a really good question. I don't have a good answer anymore for that. I know the difference is about security, obviously, is going to be the biggest number.
And that's why it's gone up so much, right? Because security costs have ballooned from what we thought they would be. That's kind of
part of it.
Part of the reason?
And then we did upgrade BC Place a little bit.
Right.
With the corporate boxes and things like that FIFA would need to host an event, and there'll be some benefit for the BC Lions, and if the Whitecaps stay, the Whitecaps long term, because they have some more inventory they can sell, and obviously the stadium's worth more than it used to be, but it's still just a functional 80s vintage stadium. It's not, a red carpet kind of stadium like SoFi in LA. It's garden variety. So I'm having a hard time And I know some of the economic experts are saying, "Oh, we'll get this for it'll actually help the GDP for the entire country for the month of June." Okay, I guess I can buy that, but is it? I just can't justify it in my head.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think a lot of people are thinking that, especially if you're just a regular old taxpayer. Maybe you're not even that into soccer. Maybe you're looking at $5,000 tickets and thinking, well, I'm not even going to go to this thing. So why was it worth my tax dollars to bring this thing here? And beyond Vancouver, I'm just wondering, like, why does anybody take these things on, given the ballooning costs? And it's not just the World Cup. I mean, a lot of these major sporting events like this have just become so expensive to host. Like, what? At some point, do people just say no and these things start to struggle to find a place? Or will there always be somebody with a deep pocket willing to do this?
I think there'll be a country or two that'll step forward every time. And we saw that with the last World Cup in Qatar because they spent way, way more than this.
Right, yeah.
But again, some of that went to infrastructure that they were going to need long term anyway, so they could host an event of that caliber. So I like the infrastructure that big games live behind, but this security cost just continues to balloon. Because if we remember back to '88 in Calgary, they actually made money on the Olympics in Calgary.
Yeah.
And the Olympics in Vancouver weren't a big, huge spend considering what we had left. But this, huge spend.
Well, listeners are weighing in at 7-10-10. Let's get some reaction to this, because maybe like me, you haven't had a chance to vent about this yet. So this is an opportunity. We're going to do it in just a moment. But first, it's the news. Steve's got your top stories of the day. We got your traffic, weather, and sports. Speaking of traffic, there's a crash on the Trans-Canada Highway, but I have an update on that I'll give you in just a second. So lots to come, and then we'll get to some of your reaction soon.
The CFAX 1070 Summer of Rock. All right. Win a trip to Vancouver and catch a concert from the Sax Point Pub Summer of Rock lineup. Listen to CFAX from 6 till 6.
When you hear a clip from our Artist of the Week,
Text ROCK to 71010 with your first name
to win that concert.
You'll fly with Helijet and stay at the Rosedale on Robson Suite Hotel. Brought to you by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt.
Stream us on the iHeartRadio app.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeartRadio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning at 6:31 on this Monday, June 1st. Crash update on the Trans-Canada Highway. Texter at 71010 with the update. Thank you so much. Saying that the crash just past Helmkin is southbound on the fast lane, right on the corner just after Portage Inlet. A tow truck is loading it up right now. Thank you for that update. Again, this is Trans-Canada Highway southbound just past Helmkin. Crash there, but according to our listeners, tow truck is clearing it, so hopefully it'll be done soon. Now over to the news. Here's Steve Young.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. David Black, who teaches political theory at Royal Roads University, says Carrie Lynn Finlay won the leadership of the Conservative Party of BC because she was an authentic champion of populism with its mixture of social and cultural conservatism. Finlay beat Caroline Elliott by 2% on the fourth and final ballot, and Black says Finlay will have some work to do to unify the party.
This is a party that is divided between kind of the moderate center-right and kind of the populist, cultural and social conservatives. And that division was really given sharp definition by the fact that Elliott finished at 49 and Finlay at 51. Elliott had ran this interesting campaign. That's why I thought she had something of an edge, because she performed populist, but her own roots are more in the center-right, with BC United and so on.
Black says Finlay's acceptance speech touched on a familiar right-of-centre theme, such as public safety. The province's seniors advocate says BC Seniors Week is an opportunity for the public to learn more about the strengths that older adults contribute to society. Dan Levitt says seniors make meaningful contributions through their work, volunteerism, caregiving, and leadership. He says the week is also about creating an international dialogue to strengthen connections and help challenge assumptions about aging. Levitt says many seniors also face challenges such as the rising cost of living, housing instability, and difficulties accessing health and community supports. BC's Seniors Week runs until June the 7th. Premier David Eby says more needs to be done to protect the historic victories of LGBTQ plus communities. He says these victories include the 1971 gay liberation protests in Vancouver and Ottawa and the 2005 legalization of same-sex marriage in Canada. Eby says Pride celebrations in the month of June should serve as affirmations that spreading hate and discrimination has no place in British Columbia. Towns and cities across British Columbia, Canada, and the world mark Pride Month in recognition of the community. Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to speak in Toronto today about how his government hopes to confront anti-Semitism.
Carney's remarks will come less than a month after Toronto police responded to 3 visibly Jewish community members being shot at with an imitation firearm. Advocacy group B'nai B'rith says anti-Semitic incidents topped 6,800 in 2025, the highest it's recorded since 1982. The increase follows the October 2023 attack by Hamas on Israel, which prompted Israel to bomb the Gaza Strip, drawing widespread condemnation. Noah Shak with the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs says events in the Middle East have fueled hatred and violence. He says Ottawa must do more to strengthen community security and combat hate. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
Canada's love for heated rivalry reached new heights last night as the series took home several top prizes at the Canadian Screen Awards, including Best Drama and Best Lead Performer for BC co-star Hudson Williams. Show creator Jacob Tierney says he wasn't expecting the massive success of the series, which broke a Canadian Screen Awards record, winning 16 over the weekend.
I do believe that so much about the reaction of the show is the fact that it ends so happily. I think that is one of the things that people think is kind of surprising about it, that people are not expecting, I think particularly gay people. So that's been an amazing thing to see, how much people want that, how soothing it is, how affirming it seems to be.
That's your news to 6:35. Today's CFAX 1070 News Poll: how much would a transit strike affect you? A lot, a little, not at all. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Steve Young. If it's happening, it's here on CFAX 1070. It's 6:37.
Thank you, Steve, and good morning. If you're on the Trans-Canada Highway wondering what's going on heading southbound, we've still got that collision, which was being cleared by a tow truck about 10 minutes ago, at least, when we had our last text at 7:10:10. This is on the Trans-Canada just past Helmkin. That's where things were slowing up, and hopefully it's going to be clear soon as that tow truck works on it. So there's your update there. Over to the sports. So much going on, including the fact that we've got the Boys of Summer back in Victoria. The Victoria Harbour Cats are into their season. They started out on the road. The Portland Pickles kind of spoiled the fun yesterday. The Portland Pickles using a 9-run fourth inning to overcome a 3-0 deficit and then cruise to an 18-5 win over the Harbour Cats in West Coast League action. This was yesterday in Portland. They also won the game on Friday. Portland with the first couple, but the Harbour Cats now get to come home to a friendly field to the Wilson's Group Stadium at Royal Athletic Park, where they will welcome the Edmonton River Hawks for the home opener tomorrow. That's at 6:35. Speaking of soccer, Canada's men's team is going to play an international friendly in Edmonton against Uzbekistan today. Canada trying to figure out which goaltender to start on the actual World Cup opener, June 12th in Toronto against Bosnia-Herzegovina. So that's one of the things they'll be testing. They'll also be playing Ireland in a Friday friendly. Over to the Memorial Cup. Sam O'Reilly had a goal and 3 assists as the Kitchener Rangers defeated the Everett Silvertips 6-2 in last night's Memorial Cup championship game in Kelowna. And Team Canada in hockey in the international tournament, they breezed through the preliminary round of the World Men's Hockey Championship with 6 regulation wins and an overtime win to top Group B. Then they blanked the United States 4-0 in the quarterfinals. And then they picked a poor time for a 2-game losing streak as Canada lost 4-2 to Finland in Saturday's semifinal. And then lost yesterday 3-2 to Norway in Sunday's bronze medal game. Finland beat Switzerland 1-0 in overtime in the gold medal. But Canada, after steamrolling the first part of that thing, walks away with no medal. Apparently Norway, though, has never won this thing ever. So at least they got something. You can feel good about Norway. CFAX 1070 Sports Time at 6:30. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season and big savings on your heating bill, talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. They've been clearing the crash scene on the Trans-Canada Highway southbound just past Helmkin. That is where things had been tied up this morning. Tow trucks clearing the scene is what we understood, so hopefully that'll get back to normal. But we are starting the day with a much bigger than usual backup. If you're coming down the Trans-Canada Highway in towards Victoria, watch out for that because that'll take a little bit to clear up. For the BC ferries, no sailing waits right now. 7 o'clock sailing is coming up with room still left on it. And for the weather forecast, a warm one. It's not overly warm right now out there. It's pretty typical. 9 degrees right now at the airport is the official temperature. Cooler in some places. But eventually, we're going to get up to a high of 25 today. So big warm temperatures coming. We will see a little wind off the water and it feeling a little cooler by the Wantafuka Strait. But otherwise, warm day today in the sun. Tomorrow, exactly the same. Tuesday is sunny with a high of 25. Overnight lows over the next couple of nights down to about 11 degrees. Clouds over on Wednesday, but it's still warm. Highs of 23. Thursday, mix of sun and clouds. cloud high of 19. We could start to see a chance of showers by Friday and the weekend with temperatures kind of coming down into the teens again. But this is a little warm blast to kick off June right now. Well, on the markets, just awaiting the first results from the day as opening bells are just finishing their ringing for North American stock markets. But on Friday, the last trading week ended with Canada's main stock index higher, driven by gains in technology stocks. S&P TSX Composite Index was 251 points up to close at 34,769. So that's where we'll start today. Then on a Friday in New York, the Dow was ahead 363 points to 51,032. The NASDAQ rose 55 to 26,972. Canadian dollar in overseas trading this morning has been around 72.38 cents US, which is down slightly from the close on Friday.
Let's get started.
Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Your chance to weigh in on the cost of hosting the FIFA World Cup in Vancouver. And, of course, we're talking about the BC taxpayer beyond Vancouver. We learned that it's, close enough to $1 billion to you could round it that way and might be a little shocked at how much it's going to cost us. And some folks wondering, is it worth it? Well, what do you think out there at 71010? This texter says, good morning, Ryan. Hosting the soccer games is the icing on the cake of stupidity. So Don, who sent that, certainly has not a very strong opinion at all about...
That was pretty eloquent, though.
I like that. It was good. The cake of stupidity. This texter at 71010 says, FIFA is a waste of money. Imagine if we put half of what we're spending on that into housing. Soccer is good. FIFA is global corruption. We will not make back $100 million per game. That's the take from this listener. Thanks so much for the text. What do you think about that, Steve?
I think they're probably right. Although the other thing that they tried to present on Friday, in the balance of fairness, I will mention it, that their revenues are up about $30 million more than they had forecasted last year.
Okay, so revenues are up, but costs are up. So okay,
maybe billion. Sorry, billion. Anyway,
right?
Yes, up. Anyway,
this texter at 71010 says FIFA. The money spending is ridiculous. Healthcare is struggling. Cost of living has skyrocketed. In Bring Cash, BC, what a waste for all. What a waste for an already cash-strapped taxpayer. So it seems like there's definitely a certain side here people are on, and that is that this is too expensive, at least right now for the texters who are writing in. What do you think? You can let us know at 71010 as we react to the news that came out on Friday. Haven't had a chance to talk about it yet here, that the estimated cost to BC of hosting the World Cup in Vancouver could reach $729 million, nearly triple what the province estimated 4 years ago. That's the FIFA story. Coming up, Steve, we're going to switch topics and talk about BC politics because we had on Saturday night the BC Conservative leadership race come to a conclusion. Carrie Lynn Findlay is the new BC Conservative leader. We are going to start to unpack that coming up next. But first to the headlines, and here's Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good day, everyone. Checking your headlines. Postal workers set to find out if they have a new tentative agreement more than 2 years into labor strife. The union set to release its ballot results today. Some 55,000 members of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers began voting April 20th on a 5-year contract that includes wage increases of 6.5% and 3% in the first 2 years. Canada Post and the union have long sparred over wages and structural changes to the Postal Service, with workers having taken to the picket line on multiple occasions throughout the bargaining process. An analyst says the winner of the BC Conservative Party leadership race this weekend won because she's an authentic champion of populism within the broader Conservative movement. David Black teaches political theory at Royal Roads. He says Carrie Lynn Findlay's victory over Carolyn Elliott confirms the party's turn towards populism. TV's heated rivalry scored a record-setting 16 wins at the Canadian Screen Awards in the last week, including 3 at Sunday night's live broadcast. The steamy series on Crave about 2 closeted gay hockey players won Best Drama, Audience Choice, and Best Lead Performer for its BC-born star, Hudson Williams. The U.S. says it's bombed radar and drone sites in Iran after Tehran shot down an American drone over the weekend. Iran said it then launched a strike of its own, and Kuwait reported incoming fire today. The nominal ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. has been repeatedly tested back and forth, even as officials from both countries try to negotiate an end to the war. It's not really clear how close they are to a deal. That's your news headlines, 647.
A few more of these FIFA World Cup texts about the costs to BC taxpayer before we shift over to the BC Conservative race. We're going to cover that next. But this texter at 71010 says, "Good morning, Ryan and Steve. I'm really concerned about the cost, but in the same token, I'm really looking forward to the greatest soccer in the world. I am very conflicted. I will have to kick it around for a while before I come to a conclusion." Very, very well done.
I'm with that person.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Because I told you last week, I'm going.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sports fan. So the sports fan side of me is very excited about this.
It's one of the biggest sporting events in the whole world.
The taxpayer side of me, not so much.
Yeah. And on that topic, this texter here at 71010 says, it was actually the same one with the cake of stupidity comment. This is Dawn. Says, though, after that, I am happy for Steve in that he is going a dream fulfilled that I can unconditionally support. So there's another like,
aw, thanks, Dawn.
I think this is dumb, but I'm happy sports fans get to enjoy this. Another texter says, good morning, gentlemen. As I said last week, FIFA is the other F word. That's from Chris. Thank you for that. Texter says, FIFA World Cup. Whoever decided to host the game should win the FIFA Economics Prize. This texter says, we need to remember that 4 years ago, nobody dreamed Mr. Trump would be elected again and drag the world into a recession. So that's from Mary. So yeah, maybe
Mary's got a good point. I was actually going to bring that up because,
yeah,
4 years ago, we didn't have a war going on in the Middle East. We didn't have any thought of the way the U.S. government and Canadian government would get into a trade war. We had no knowledge of any of that.
A lot of FIFA stuff is also in things like improving infrastructure, prompting by FIFA happening, but the benefits for everybody, which will continue afterwards. I work in the public transit industry, and we got many orders for improvements to the public transit to be done in time for FIFA. So there's another texture just saying maybe there's some spin-off benefits that take place. It's a lot to think about, and thank you so much for weighing in at 71010 as we react to that news on Friday that the FIFA costs are in, and they're higher than we thought. But let's talk BC Conservative leadership race. Somebody else who was covering it last night, of course, Wolfgang Deppner is a reporter with the Canadian Press. He's joining us next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Victoria Track Classic is June 12th at Centennial Stadium. Details at runsport.ca/Track Classic. Help care for local wildlife and enter to win the Wild Arc Raffle. June 1st through 18th, you can buy your tickets at spca.bc.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 870 traffic and weather. We have been following a crash that I believe has now cleared on the Trans-Canada Highway. It originally was happening just past Helmkin. They had the tow trucks there clearing that up just a few minutes ago. I think it's gone, but it might take a little while for the residual backup to clear. So if you're thinking it's a little extra slow on the Trans-Canada southbound in towards Victoria, that's probably why. Hopefully that clears up soon. And for the BC ferries, no sailing waits right now. 7 o'clock is coming up. We've got some space left. In the weather, a warm one coming at us. Sunny at a high of 25 today. It'll feel a little cooler by the windy water. Right now, we're sitting at 9 degrees at the Victoria International Airport.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, it was a long road to get here, but the BC Conservatives have picked their new party leader. And that new leader is Carrie Lynn Findlay. It was a tight contest, and in the end, on the fourth ballot, Carrie Lynn Findlay beating Caroline Elliott by 2%. Reporter Wolf Deppner with the Canadian Press was there in the room in Vancouver as this all unfolded on Saturday night, and we wanted to get him on the line to get a sense of how that all went. Wolfgang Deppner, great to talk to you again. How you doing?
Yeah, good morning. I'm doing fine, thank you, and good morning to you and your listeners.
So you're there that night, so walk us through how that felt and kind of how it all went down.
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about all the rounds, but you can sure tell the sense of anticipation that was hanging in the air when Executive Director Angelo Isidoro stepped up for the fourth and final time to announce the eventual winner, Carrie Lynn Findlay. There was a bit of a hush going through the room when he said that fellow Conservatives, it couldn't get any closer. And it was, I mean, everybody knows the final results by now. It was really close. And in many ways, it was sort of a fitting finale to what has been a very long session, what has been a very long and complicated race within the Conservative Party to replace John Rustad as leader. It was, as I say, sort of a fitting end to what has been a very interesting process. And the next step, of course, now is what happens to the party under her leadership. There was a meeting Sunday where Findlay met with her caucus. There are lots of questions hanging over some other issues, such as where will she run? She'll need a seat in the legislature. Perhaps from my perspective, the most elegant solution would be for her husband, Brent Chapman, who's the MLA for Surrey South, to step down, and she could run in that seat. Other questions about the former Conservatives who are now sitting as independent MLAs. Some have signaled that they might be interested in coming back. Others have said, sorry, not under Carrie Lynn Findlay. So it's always nice to celebrate any victory. But once that buzz has worn off a little bit, you got to focus on what lies ahead.
Yeah, and unifying the party seems to be what lies ahead in one sense. And I want to go back to the room. On Saturday night, you were there. One of the things that I wanted to get a sense of is I feel like, and I don't think I'm wrong about this, that the BC Conservative Party is a bit divided amongst itself. I mean, that's one of the whole reasons we saw what happened to John Rustad happen, and different splitter MLAs leaving the party. There's been some division, and was that division on display at all in the room as those results came down? As certain candidates that might have represented one side, maybe were losing out to the other side. Was that at all evident?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned sort of the sense of anticipation that was hanging over the air, and after KLF, Carrie Lynn Findlay was announced as the winner, some members of the audience broke into KLF chants. But you could also sense that the air was leaving the room a little bit for some of the other supporters. I mean, it was a really close result. And if you're a supporter of Caroline Elliott, and if you get as far as you did, there's no reason why you shouldn't feel disappointed, so to speak. That's just a natural human reaction. But yes, you raise a good point. What happens next for the party? The prevailing theory is that there are two parts within the party. You have the sort of the moderate right of center wing of the party, and perhaps the best representative or the most obvious representative for that wing is Peter Millibar, and he went out on the first round, and then you have the more populist wing of the party, and based on Saturday's result, it's clear that the more populist wing of the party has come out ahead. Now. Many criticized Carolyn Elliott for being sort of a BC liberal, somebody who's trying to subvert the party as a former BC liberal, but I don't necessarily buy that. She also has some pretty populist positions. So ultimately, Saturday's win makes it clear that the party is drifting, or that the party has moved toward a more populist orientation. But that doesn't necessarily erase some of the issues that still exist within the party, and some of the issues Carolyn Findlay created for herself when she suggested that Peter Millibar had a conflict of interest over DRIPA because his immediate family, his wife, children, grandchildren, are Indigenous. By that logic, Alia Warbus, the House leader, who is Indigenous, also has a conflict of interest when it comes to DRIPA. Her supporters will want some of the more juicier posts in caucus, and then eventually perhaps down the line in cabinet. There might be sort of changes in various policy positions that would move the party again further to the right on cultural issues such as SOGI, such as vaccines. So those are all the issues that are sort of hanging over this party a little bit going forward. Obviously, the campaign was designed in such a way to generate some interest for the party, to raise some money, to create buzz, and I would say that the campaign accomplished that. The party is flush with cash. A lot of people followed the campaign. The party has grown from about 6,000, 7,000 in late 2025 to more than 42,000. So that's a massive jump. The party claims to be the largest political party in BC. So those are all good things, but from the perspective of the Conservatives, now they need to get down to business and start to sort of introduce Carolyn Findlay to the rest of the province. Remember, leadership races are not general elections. They appeal to a very, very small fraction of British Columbians. Many British Columbians, most British Columbians didn't pay attention, and it'll be up now to the Conservatives to, as I say, introduce Carolyn Findlay to the rest of the province. And the one thing that cannot happen, from my perspective, for the Conservatives, is to allow the NDP to define her. It was mere moments after KLF or Carolyn Findlay was announced as winner. The NDP had put out a press release saying that the Trump wing, the MAGA wing of the party, had now seized control. And speaking of divisions within the party, the press release quoted Peter Millibar several times, his previous comments about perhaps having some reservations about serving under Carolyn Findlay. So he sort of served as a crown witness for the NDP prosecution's case against Carolyn Findlay.
We'll have to see how it all gets spun. I got to let you go just because we're right at a time. But Wolfgang Depter with the Canadian Press, he was there covering it as Carolyn Findlay emerged as the new leader of the BC Conservative Party on the fourth ballot at Saturday's result of the leadership contest. Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Always happy to be on. And good morning to everyone again.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 7:03 on Monday, June 1st. Let's get right to the news. Sorry for being late. Take all the time you need. Steve Young.
It was an interesting conversation.
I didn't want to interrupt Wolfgang. He had so many interesting things to say.
Too.
Yeah.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. David Black, who teaches political theory at Royal Roads University, says Carrie Lynn Finlay won the leadership of the BC Conservatives because she was an authentic champion of populism with its mixture of social and cultural conservatism. Black says Karen Elliott performed populism, but did not have the same credentials as the former MP and federal minister of revenue.
Carolyn Finlay is by far the most populist of the five leadership candidates. This party is going to message and ultimately campaign as a populist one.
Finlay says her vision for BC is one of fundamental change, and Black says language means that the Conservative Party of BC will become far more ideological than previous parties like the former BC Liberals or the short-lived BC United ever were. Food Banks Canada says Canada's employment insurance no longer serves a broader and shifting workforce.
In its latest poverty report card, the organization says the labor market has shifted toward part-time, temporary, and contract work, while EI only caters to a shrinking workforce that has stable full-time work with a single employer. Food Banks Canada Chief Executive Kirsten Beardsley says the outdated EI system is one of the greatest threats to Canada's resiliency as unemployment remains elevated and households struggle to keep up with the high cost of living. The report suggests EI eligibility is at the heart of the issue, which requires workers to accumulate a set number of insurable hours within a fixed period. Don Mitchell, the Canadian Press.
A new clinic could be in the cards for the West Shore.
A potential clinic in View Royal could provide medical care to more than 4,500 residents in that area that currently do not have a physician. The proposed View Royal Community Primary Care Attachment Clinic would operate as an independent non-profit to tackle a primary care crisis in the town. An urgent need for medical care has become a growing concern across BC amid an ageing population and a chronic shortage of doctors. If approved by council, the clinic would be run by Aroga Lifestyle Medicine and would seek an initial $770,000 to get up and running. Coachcaden, CFAX 1070 News.
Today marks the first day of a closure of the section of the Galloping Goose Trail. It just started a couple of moments ago. The portion through Viaduct Park will be closed to all pedestrian cyclists until the end of the summer. Trail users will follow a 1-kilometer detour via Waterfront Crescent, Jetland Road, Cecilia Road, Napier Lane, and the pathway through Cecilia Ravine Bike Park. Routes for pedestrian cyclists and wheelchair users will be maintained to ensure accessibility and safety. Detour maps and signage are going to be posted. It's part of the Victoria to Esquimalt cable replacement project, which will install a new electrical conduit between the Gorge Waterway between Viaduct Park and Banfield Park. That's your news to 7:07.
Want a junk-free summer? CFAX 1070 has got your back. Enter online for your chance to win a complete summer cleaning service from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Greater Victoria's trusted professional junk removal team. Enter to win today at CFAX1070.com.
Today's CFAX 1070 News Poll. How much would a transit strike affect you? A lot, a little, not at all. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Steve Young. If it's happening, it's here on CFAX 1070. It's 7:08.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning. Welcome to June. Here we are, June 1st on this Monday in Victoria, and the temperatures are supposed to get up to 25 degrees. A warm one ahead, a full forecast in a moment. First, let's kick it over to the sports. Say the Victoria Harper Cats have begun their season. Last night, it was game 2 of the season in Portland. They lost 18-5 to the Portland Pickles, and actually they lost the opener on Friday as well. So the Harper Cats down a couple after the weekend, but now they come home for their home opener, which will be tomorrow night. At Wilson's Group Stadium, Royal Athletic Park. Well, they're going to welcome the Edmonton Riverhawks. This is tomorrow night, 6:35. That's going on in baseball. We've also got the Toronto Blue Jays, who split a 4-game series with the host Baltimore Orioles. A day off today before opening a 3-game series tomorrow against the Braves in Atlanta. The Jays 29-31 on the season so far. For the wide world of hockey, yes, we're still talking hockey. It's June, it's 25 degrees, but we got hockey to talk about. The Carolina Hurricanes, who only needed 5 games to eliminate the Montreal Canadiens from the Eastern Conference Final, open a Stanley Cup Final series tomorrow against the visiting Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights swept the President Trophy, winning Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final as well. Team Canada at the World Men's Hockey Championship, didn't end things the way they wanted to yesterday. They'd had, the preliminary round, breezed through it. 6 regulation wins and an overtime win to top Group B. Then they blanked the United States 4-0 in the quarterfinals. But then this weekend, losing 4-2 to Finland in the semifinal Saturday, and then losing 3-2 to Norway in yesterday's bronze medal finale. Finland beat the host Switzerland 1-0 in overtime to get the gold medal out of it. That's your CFAX Sports to 7. Time for CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the morning show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Happy is deals and rewards in one app. Earn Scene Plus points faster by downloading the Thrifty Foods app and linking your Scene Plus card for personalized offers just for you. On the roads, there was a crash earlier this morning on the Trans-Canada Highway just past Helmkin. It's cleared up now, if you're wondering, if you'd heard about that. So it is clear, but I do think there's still some residual backup. Things are a little slow still as we try to clear through the backlog. This is the Trans-Canada Highway heading southbound towards Victoria. Everything else is looking pretty normal this morning. No sailing waits at BC Ferries. And for the weather forecast, it's a warm one today. Sunshine and a high of 25 degrees expected. A little cooler by the water, per usual, but a warm day. Lows of 11 overnight tonight. Tomorrow, mainly sunny. Highs of 25 again, but cooler by the water again. And some clouds rolling in on Wednesday. Highs of 23. Mix of sun and cloud for Thursday. High of 19. A chance of showers by Friday and the weekend, with temperatures getting back down into the teens as a high. So this little warm beginning of the week, but it'll cool off a bit as we get closer to the weekend. Right now, 12 degrees. On the markets, let's look at our results so far this morning. S&P TSX down 98 points to 34,670. The Dow in New York is down 77 to 50,955. NASDAQ down 7 to 26,964. The barrel of oil has shot up. There's some more shooting going on in Iran, and that could be causing this. $6.53 up compared to Friday, up to $93.89 U.S. a barrel. Canadian dollar at 72.2 cents U.S.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, thanks for joining us here on a busy Monday. We will continue covering the weekend's results from the BC Conservative leadership race. Carrie Lynn Findlay emerging as the new leader of BC's opposition party. Much more coverage to come. A lot of experts weighing in as the morning show comes up, including our next guest actually will be from the NDP. Ravi Parmar, local MLA, weighing in on the NDP's take on this winner. So that's coming up in a bit. But we've also got so much more to come. It is Monday, where usually we do a gardening chat with Fiona Hammersley Chambers from A Chosen Farm. And we've missed the last couple of weeks just because of schedules. And, well, I guess farming in May is quite busy. But Fiona Hammersley Chambers with some gardening tips and some guru-level advice coming up. Actually, just a few minutes, she's going to join us. And we're going to get back into the garden with Fiona Hammersley Chambers. And we've also got to give away tickets to see Motley Crue. Accommodation at the Rosedale and Robson Suite Hotels in Vancouver. Helijet flights. This is the CFAX Summer of Rock, powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. Steve, can you do me the honors of doing the voice properly?
Summer of Rock.
That's right. We have to give away last week's prize, so we're going to call the winner here. I'm telling you, if you entered, stay by your phones, because right after all of the 7:30 news, sports, weather, traffic, all of that stuff, we're going to call a number that we draw out of the hat. And if you pick up the phone, we'll get you a prize. If you don't pick up the phone, we're going to move on to the next name. So you got to be listening. Coming up just after the 7:30 news and sports and traffic and all that stuff. So there you go. This week's artist, by the way, is AC/DC. So listen for an AC/DC song.
Welcome to the jungle.
That's Guns N' Roses.
Oh, is it?
That's Guns N' Roses.
Oh, come on.
Who we're also giving away, by the way.
Are we?
Yes. So you're kind of spot on.
I'm jumping it. Oh.
So we will have Guns N' Roses, but this week it's AC/DC. Listen for an AC/DC song. If you hear one, text us ROCK, R-O-C-K. Oh, there's just so much going on today. And we got the Ancient Egypt exhibit. We got tickets to give away to that in the 8 o'clock hour. There's too much. There's so much today. Just so much. Right now, it's the news. Here's Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Multiple health organizations in Canada say they're pushing Ottawa to bring down nicotine use among Canadians as vaping among youth continues to rise. The Canadian Cancer Society says data on vaping is stunningly high, with 15% of students in grades 7 to 12 reporting vaping in the last 30 days. That jumps to 27% of grade 12 students who say they used a vape over a 30-day period. Cunningham suggests there are several reasons why vaping has been concentrated among youth, suggesting it's less expensive than cigarettes and available in many flavors in most provinces. Food Banks Canada says Canada's employment insurance no longer serves the broader and shifting workforce as more people take up gig work or part-time jobs. In its latest poverty report card, the organization says the labor market has shifted towards part-time, temporary, and contract work, while EI only caters to a shrinking workforce that has stable full-time work from a single employer. And an internal government document says data from an advanced electric vehicle, if it falls into the wrong hands, could be used to track people or carry out surveillance. The Public Safety Canada memo was prepared to address concerns about Chinese vehicles. It says connected vehicles collect significant amounts of data on Canadians that officials say can have intelligence value. That's your news headlines at 7:17.
Traffic and weather coming up, and then we get into the garden with Fiona Hammersley Chambers. 6. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. No crashes or accidents anymore. However, we did have one on the Trans-Canada Highway heading in towards Victoria just past Helmgen earlier this morning. It's cleared up now, but maybe a little residual backup still slowing things up on the Trans-Canada Highway. If you have any updates on that or anything else, do text me at 71010. No sailing waits at BC Ferries and the weather. Wow, it's 25 degrees as a high today, eventually. A little cooler by the water. Right now, it's at 12 degrees is the official temperature at the Victoria International Airport. At the University of Victoria in Saanich, it's 14 degrees, so already starting to warm up out there, but getting to be quite a warm day. So that's what you've got in store. Overnight lows of 11 tonight.
Getting into the garden.
This ought to be good.
It's very creative. With Ryan and Lisa.
Wow.
Yes, we're getting into the garden with Fiona Hammersley Chambers from Chosen Farm. It's been a couple of weeks, though, so it's great to get you back up here, Fiona. How you doing?
We're good. Yeah, we've been mostly in the field the last couple of weeks. It's here we go on another ride of another season.
Yeah, in full swing right now, and we're going to talk all about it here on the show. But right now, Fiona, if you don't mind me starting with this, we do get questions for you on the text machine 71010, and I've got one for you right here. If you don't mind taking a question right out of the hopper here.
Sure, let's see.
Okay, so Texter asks, can you ask Fiona why my container of basil that looks beautiful in the store always dies on my deck after a few weeks? I water it daily. It's not overwatered. What's going on? So that's a question for you. Any thoughts on container basil?
That might be a few things. When you go in the grocery store and it's artificial light and you get tempted by these gorgeous, lush-looking plants, they generally put them by the entrance, so you grab them on your way in because you can't resist, especially something like basil because, of course, you can smell it. Those don't look like that because they were grown in that store. They look like that and so lush and wonderful because they were grown in very controlled greenhouse environments. So those poor plants, they have been shocked to get ripped out of the greenhouse into this artificial lighting, the draft from the door. So yeah, they look great for a little while, but then their resilience wanes. There's a few things potentially going on with that. If you're putting it right out on your deck, then that's cold nights. Basil is a heat-loving plant. It does not like cold nights. It would probably be happier in your kitchen windowsill as long as it's not so sunny that it fries it. Anything that you buy from a grocery store likely has to be hardened off. So that's the process where you basically give it a suntan. It's like you or me, Ryan, and if we go to Hawaii in January with our white European skin, we get fried. So same with plants. If they've been in a greenhouse and then you put them outside, they do get sunburned. So watch out for that. So hardening off is the process where you put it out maybe in the sort of semi-shade so it gets a bit of dappled sunlight, but not too much to start. And then you bring it inside for the first couple of nights and then gradually transition it out. That might be part of the process that's going on there for that poor plant. Fungus gnats are fairly endemic in a lot of the greenhouse products that you get in grocery stores now, and even in some nurseries. So you just want to be careful. They're little flies. They live on a fungus that's in the soil, and they're more of an irritation than a pest. But when the soil is kept too wet, you get fungus gnats, and they can spread to your other house plants. So watch out for those. If you look at the pots of basil, generally, you're going to see that there's 15, 20, or even more stems, so individual plants growing in that small pot. And that's another reason that it looks so lush, right? It's not one plant, it's a whole thicket of them. So there's a couple of things you can do with that. When you get home, you can thin them out by snipping off some of the stems, so you end up with less, and then you can just eat those particular stems. If you're more of a Scottish bent and you're frugal, then you might snip those off, strip off a couple of the bottom leaves, and then put those stems in a glass of water in your kitchen windowsill. We've talked about this before. Certain plants like tomatoes, basil, some of the herbs like sage. If you do that, when you buy, even the cut herbs like mint in a grocery store, you can get those to root into individual plants by putting them in a glass of water and watching them in your kitchen. Again, don't put them where they're going to get fried. So thin the plants out might help with the basil. And a key thing might also be a lack of nutrients, right? They're growing in a very small space. So you might want to give them some fertilizer to keep them perked up. And also if they're on a deck, they might just be getting too hot during the day. If it's windy, they don't like that. And they might be getting too cold at night.
Man, there's so many things to diagnose there, but I think, I could definitely see for myself a few of those things have happened to me before. So those are some great tips. Hopefully that helps out our texter with his troubled pot of basil. But you mentioned in all of that one of the things to watch out for is certain pests and sort of diseases or different things that might be out there affecting the plant. Could we expand on that a bit today and just talk about what sort of problems, pests, diseases to watch out for at this time of year?
Oh, sure. I can tell you what we're dealing with right now. There are some tent caterpillars starting now in your fruit trees.
Oh, I've seen those, yeah.
Apple.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And those go through cycles, right? They've got certain years where they're really bad. 2 years ago was just terrible. Last year wasn't too bad. This year, there's practically none, at least here. So what we do is we keep an eye out for them, and then when you see those typical little kind of almost like a spider web type nest, I wait till the evening because caterpillars all go back into their little nest at night as long as they're small enough. If you have missed the nest and they're really big, then they spread all over your tree and it's a bit harder. Some people get an allergic dermatitis from touching the caterpillars, not so much when they're small, but when they're older. So, if you're squeamish or you're worried about that, then wear gloves. I'm not squeamish. I don't get a dermatitis, so I just reach up, snap the piece off where the nest is, and then I'm afraid I just squish it under my farm boots underneath and then go to the next tree. So dispose of them as you will, but it's definitely the time of year to take those out of your trees.
Yeah, get them now before they become an even bigger problem. Okay, so tent caterpillars are a thing to watch out for right now. What else has got you troubled?
Well, if you're fortunate enough as we are to have a couple of peach trees, because we live in this fabulous temperate Mediterranean climate. We're in this rain shadow of the Olympic Mountains. We have cool but warm nights as we come into the summer, and we're able to grow things like figs and peaches that are tricky to grow together in other parts of the country. So we have a couple of peach trees, which produce wonderful fruit, and they are a little susceptible to peach leaf curl, and that's a fungal disease. So if you have a peach tree or you're thinking of getting a peach tree, the best thing you can do is espalier it. So that's where you prune it and tie it back so that it's underneath the eave, growing up generally the side of a building so that you've got that overhang, because you have to protect it from direct rain, because as the raindrops come down, they hit the soil, and then the fungal spores get splattered up with the raindrops. And that's how you get peach leaf curl. You'll notice it because the leaves look really gnarly and kind of light pale green and thickened. They just look sick. So at this point, if you've got peach leaf curl, I would recommend a good prune and pinching off those buds. If you don't want to lose too much of the growth on your tree, you can try stripping off the leaves, because once summer comes in and spring calms down a bit, the life cycle of that fungus does die down. So you're not likely to get peach leaf curl past another maybe 2 weeks, although we do have this cold bit of January popping in, so I think the season for that might be a little more extended. There's also, if you haven't bought a peach tree but you're thinking about getting one, there are some modern varietals that have a resistance. It's not a complete immunity to peach leaf curl, but some of the more modern varieties do have a resistance to it.
All right, some of the things to watch out for at this time of year with Fiona Hammersley-Chambers from Chosen Farm. We're doing our gardening chat, but we're out of time, Fiona. Let's get back into the garden then.
That would be great. And something I'd like to talk about next week, I think, is flowers. We associate flowers in our culture with beauty and celebrating events like weddings, honoring people at memorial services. The international floral industry is surprisingly toxic. You
Really?
never know.
Well, we got flowers on the mind for next week. I love it. Looking forward to it. We'll talk then.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Have a great week.
Quick traffic note. There is a problem on the Island Highway through View Royal right by the casino. Some kind of problem with a truck heading in towards Victoria. Watch out for a slowdown there. That's the Old Island Highway right by the casino. We'll get a full update on that in just a moment.
The CFAX 1070 Summer of Rock. All right. Win a trip to Vancouver and catch a concert from the Sax Point Pub Summer of Rock lineup. Listen to CFAX from 6 till 6.
When you hear a clip from our Artist of the Week,
text ROCK to 71010 with your first name
to win that concert.
You'll fly with Helijet and stay at the Rosedale on Robson Suite Hotel. Brought to you by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt.
Stream us on the iHeartRadio app.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 7:31 on Monday, June 1st. Sunny day. Highs of 25 expected. Quick look at the roads. We do have an incident on the Old Island Highway just past the casino heading in towards Victoria. Texter at 71010 says there was a big blue truck missing a tire. So that seems to be what's going on. Don't know what happened to the tire, but they got to deal with that, and it's slowing things up. Let me know if you have any updates at 71010. Right now to the news. Here's Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Political analyst David Black says Carrie Lynn Finlay won the leadership of the Conservative Party of BC because she's an authentic champion of populism. The scholar says the former MP has amassed the right populist credentials during her time in federal politics, and her promise of a grand vision for fundamental change for BC may suggest the party will become more ideological than the former BC Liberals and BC United were. Black also says the party will have to do some healing because it remains divided between populists and moderates. Finlay beat commentator Carolyn Elliott on the fourth ballot after three other candidates, Peter Millibar, Yuri Fulmer, and Ian Black, were dropped during the preceding rounds. A delegation made up of BC elected officials and the representatives from the mining industry in Ottawa today. They held a news conference this morning before meeting with federal departments and officials. President and CEO of the Mining Association of British Columbia, Michael Gehring, says BC's ready to move.
We're here in Ottawa today to meet with federal officials as part of a coordinated Team BC effort to advance $79 billion in major mining and critical mineral projects and position Canada as a leading global supplier of responsibly produced minerals and metals that our allies and partners need.
Goal is to move some of those projects forward. Nearly 55,000 postal workers will find out today if they put a stamp of approval on a new tentative deal with Canada Post. After more than 2 years of labor strife that saw multiple picket lines set up, the Canadian Union of Postal Workers will release the results of member voting since mid-April on a 5-year contract that includes wage increases and job security provisions. About 60% of the union board endorsed the proposed agreement for its job security. An internal government document says data from an advanced electric vehicle, if it falls into the wrong hands, could be used to track people or carry out surveillance.
The Public Safety Canada memo obtained by the Canadian press by using the Access to Information Act was prepared to address concerns about Chinese vehicles. The memo says Canada has to expand its economy in response to a changing geopolitical environment, but it warns connected vehicles, similar to other smart or internet-connected devices, collect significant amounts of data on Canadians, which can have intelligence value. Earlier this year, Canada pledged to reduce its 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles to 6.1%, with an annual cap of 49,000 vehicles in exchange for lower tariffs on Canadian agricultural products. Karen Rebo, The Canadian Press.
Today marks the first day of a closure of a section of the Galloping Goose Trail. The portion through Viaduct Park will be closed to all pedestrians and cyclists till the end of the summer. Trail users will follow a 1-kilometer detour. Routes for pedestrians, cyclists, and wheelchair users will be maintained to ensure accessibility and safety. It's part of the Victoria to Esquimalt cable replacement project, which will install a new electrical conduit beneath the Gorge Waterway between Viaduct Park and Banfield Park. That's your news at 7:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll. How much would a transit strike affect you? A lot, a little, not at all. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Steve Young. If it's happening, it's here on CFAX 1070. It's 7:36.
If you entered the CFAX Summer of Rock last week, powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt, for the Motley Crue tickets, heads up, we're going to be calling a winner in moments. We're about to draw a name and give a winner a call. You want to be standing by the phone. You don't want to miss this phone call if you entered to the Motley Crue week, which was last week. Get ready. That's coming up. Also, we got a little incident on the Old Island Highway. This is just past the Elements Casino as you head in towards Victoria. As a texter described it, it looked like a blue truck was missing a tire. So something's happened there. It's slowing things up if you're heading in to town that direction. You can give us updates at 7:10:10. CFAX 1070 Sports. So we've got lots going on. The Victoria Harbour Cats are now into swing into the season. Although it was the Portland Pickles who used a 9-run fourth inning to overcome a 3-0 deficit and then cruise to an 18-5 win over the Harbour Cats in West Coast Baseball League action. This was yesterday in Portland. The two teams also played in Portland on Friday. Portland won that one. So the Harbour Cats will try to get some home field advantage and maybe turn things around as they do their home opener against the Edmonton Riverhawks tomorrow. That's at Wilson's Group Stadium at Royal Athletic Park. 6:35 is the game time for that. The Toronto Blue Jays, who split a 4-game series with the host Baltimore Orioles, will now have a day off before opening a 3-game set tomorrow against the Braves in Atlanta. Now from baseball over to soccer. Canada's men's soccer team will play an international friendly tonight in Edmonton against Uzbekistan. Canada attempting to avoid injuries and also determine which goaltender to put into net when they have their real thing, the World Cup opener on June 12th in Toronto against Bosnia-Herzegovina. There's another friendly, though, Friday. Canada plays a friendly against Ireland. And the Memorial Cup of Hockey is over. Sam O'Reilly had a goal and 3 assists as the Kitchener Rangers defeated the Everett Silvertips 6-2 in last night's Memorial Cup Championship game going on in Kelowna. That's your CFAX 1070 Sports. It is 7:39. We're about to make that phone call. If you entered for Motley Crue tickets and the CFAX Summer of Rock powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt, get ready. We're picking a name right now and calling somebody. So don't miss this phone. Oh, hey, sorry to keep you waiting. I just had to be on the phone with a certain somebody I had to call about that Summer of Rock contest. So hang on one second. Well, we'll get to that. But right now, traffic and weather. Still dealing with a situation where it looks like a truck lost its tire or something on the Old Island Highway. Heading in towards Victoria, just past the Elements Casino. That seems to be backing things up quite severely at this point. I mean, it's backed up well past the Royal Roads University entrance to try to find a location for it. So watch out for that. It's slowing things up this morning. It's the big blip we got this morning. Otherwise, I don't see any other major collisions or problems. You can text me if you see otherwise. It's 7:10:10 for BC Ferry, Swartz Bay to Swassen. No sailing waits right now. 8 o'clock sailing is coming up. There's still room left there for vehicles. And for the weather forecast, whoa, it's a warm one. Sunshine, highs of 25. A little cooler by the water. Tonight, partly cloudy, lows to 11 degrees. And then tomorrow, much the same. Mostly sunny with temperatures into the mid-20s, unless you're by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. On the markets, things are mixed. S&P TSX in Toronto is down 123 to 34,645. The Dow in New York is down 108 to 50,923. The Nasdaq has gained 30 points to 27,002. Canadian dollar at 72.2 cents US.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
All right, it's time to give away tickets as part of the CFAX Summer of Rock, powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. Motley Crue was the artist of the week last week. So if you heard a Motley Crue song and you texted rock, your name went into the hat. We just picked a name and we just made a phone call. Let's try this out. Who do I have right here? Who's on the phone with me right now?
Hey, good morning, Ryan. It's Terry.
Terry! Do you know why I'm calling you?
I hope I do.
You hope you do. Do you remember texting the word rock to 71010 last week when you heard a Motley Crue song?
For sure I did, yep.
You sure did. Well, I'm happy to tell you that you are our winner.
That's fantastic.
You've got tickets to see Motley Crue, 2 of them. You got the the Helijet. That's the one. We're flying you over there. And we've got your Rosedale and Robson Street Hotel accommodations to go see the show. Congratulations.
That's a great package. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. So do you have any idea who you're going to take so far?
I'm sure I can find somebody. Coworker, friend, maybe a wife. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you've got you've got some currency now. You see who can be the best friend right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's the CFAX Summer of Rock. Are you a big Motley Crue fan?
I am. Yeah, I've seen them quite a few times. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a sense. What's it like? What are the shows like?
Well, they're probably just like the music videos that you've seen. They're pretty raunchy. Yeah, it's not an all ages show usually.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, I hope you'll enjoy our raunchy night with Motley Crue coming up in July in Vancouver. And again, we're sending you there with the whole thing. You got the flight, you got the accommodations. Thank you for playing. And hang on the line. I'm going to talk to you just off the air, okay?
Will do. Thanks again, Ryan.
All right, Steve, that felt good to give away some tickets.
That was, hearing that on CFAX just says something good to my heart.
It kickstarts it, in fact.
Yeah, kickstart my heart.
But hey, so that was a Motley Crue song. That's just sort of last week's news. This week, the CFAX Summer of Rock continues, and it's AC/DC. Because they're also coming to Vancouver this summer. And if you hear an AC/DC song anytime this week, you want to text us 71010 for your chance to win. So much going on. Be like our special winner right there, and text us. Maybe we'll call you. Okay, let's get to the news. What's going on, Steve?
Well, Ryan, emergency officials have now downgraded flood warnings to flood watches for various areas in southeastern BC near the province's boundary with Alberta. Emergency BC says on social media that includes the Upper Columbia area and the Kootenay River area. A flood watch remains in place for the East Kootenays, south of Invermere, including the area around Fairmont Hot Springs, Fernie, Elkford, and Kimberley. Emergency officials in the regional district of East Kootenay, meanwhile, have issued an evacuation alert for 97 properties along Fairmont Creek in Fairmont Hot Springs. An analyst says the winner of the BC Conservative leadership race this weekend won because she's an authentic champion of populism within the broader Conservative movement. David Black teaches political theory at Royal Roads. He says Carrie Lynn Finley's victory confirms the party's turn towards populism. TV's heated rivalry scored a record-setting 16 wins at the Canadian Screen Awards in the last week, including 3 at last night's live broadcast. The steamy series on Crave about 2 closeted gay hockey players won Best Drama, Audience Choice, and Best Lead Performer for BC-born star Hudson Williams. And postal workers are set to find out if they have a new tentative deal more than 2 years into the labor strife today, as the union is set to result its ballot results today. Some 55,000 members were eligible to vote. That's your news headlines, the 746.
Congratulations again to Terry for winning our CFAX Summer of Rock Motley Crue tickets. But we got more. Like I said, AC/DC is this week's artist. But guess what, Steve? Guess.
I think we're probably going to start right now with the next step in our wonderful contest, the Summer of Rock.
Because we got AC/DC tickets to give away, but actually that wasn't what I was...
Oh, okay.
I'm going to make you wait for it.
Okay.
I want to tell you that because we have another contest today.
Another contest?
This is a totally different one. We are the most generous radio station I can imagine. Can you imagine that we just gave away tickets and the Helijet and the hotel and all that, yet we still have more to give away? This is the Ancient Egypt prize pack.
Well, there's some food involved in this, right?
There's a $100 dining gift card. Ooh. There is IMAX tickets, and this brand new Ancient Egypt exhibit is coming up this month. Later this month, it's going to open up. I love Egypt. Ancient Egypt, all of that stuff. I'm so excited to go see this. So we've only got one package, though, here. Because this prize is so good. It's the 4 tickets. It's the food card. It's the IMAX tickets. It's so good we could only give away one. So here's how it's going to work. Every day this week, including today, we're going to qualify somebody.
Ooh, the qualifying.
And then we will draw one of the qualifying winners for the prize at the end of the week. But to qualify, we're going to make you work for it. We've been given from the Royal BC Museum some Ancient Egypt trivia. So coming up after the 8 o'clock news, sports, and weather, if you want to play, give us a call. See if you can answer a skill testing trivia question from the museum. And if you get it right, we'll enter you into the big draw at the end of the week. That's how that's going to work.
From the museum actually came up with this stuff.
They gave me the trivia.
Wow.
It's not even me dreaming this stuff up, so you can believe that they got it right. That's the important thing. That's the important thing. Okay, so that's coming up. But hey, we've also got some business to get to because we've been following this morning the results of the BC Conservative Leadership Contest. Carrie Lynn Findlay is the new BC Conservative leader, emerged victorious on the 4th ballot after all the voting was done amongst the party on Saturday. Weighing in, the NDP, the governing party, has some thoughts on the new leader of their opposition. We're going to get to that next.
The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe.
Everyone wants to know about real estate. Is the market going up or down? Time to buy or sell? How can government programs and policies affect you? Hear from local experts on topics like appraisal, inspection, investment, and others on how to maximize your real estate sale.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe. Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 7:51. We still have an incident on the Old Island Highway just past the casino heading in towards town. There was a truck with a tire missing. Something happened to it, whatever. I think they've got it cleared up now, but it's still a little bit slow as you head down the Island Highway / Souk Road route into town at that spot while we just clear up the backlog. But it looks like they've cleared the truck incident. For BC Ferries, no problems there. No sailing waits. And for the weather, it's a warm one today. Sunny and a high of 25. A little cooler by the water. Tonight, partly cloudy, lows down to 11.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, BC politics as we react to Carrie Lynn Findlay emerging as the new leader of the BC Conservative Party. We have reached out to Carrie Lynn Findlay and her folks to ask her to come on the show this morning. We don't think we got it lined up. Hopefully sometime soon we'll get a chance to talk to her and introduce her. But in the meantime, reacting to it, the government, what do they think of their new opposition leader across the bench? Joining us right now, MLA for Langford Highlands, also BC's minister responsible for forests and with the governing NDP, Ravi Parmar is here. Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Ryan. Good morning to you and good morning to all your listeners. And look, if Carrie Lynn Findlay doesn't want to come on CFAX, I'm more than happy to come on and talk about the BC Conservatives anytime.
Well, we're hoping to get her on because we'd love to talk to her. But since we got you here, I'm just wondering, from the government side, how are you feeling about this particular result for the BC Conservative Party out of the leader options that could have emerged? Is this a good one, a bad one if you're the NDP?
Well, my first comment was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I should begin by saying I want to offer my congratulations to Carrie Lynn Findlay and to the BC Conservatives. The leadership race is certainly a trying time for any party, and I want to congratulate all the candidates that put their names forward, and certainly to Ms. Findlay as she takes on the very critical role of serving as the leader of the opposition. I understand that she'll be doing her best to get a seat in the House, and if she is successful, look forward to the opportunity to debating the issues of our time with her. But I think it's also important, Ryan, that we recognize that the BC Conservatives have chosen Carrie Lynn Findlay as their new leader. And while leadership races often promise change, what we have seen in this leadership race is a confirmation that the most extreme Trump-like voices in the party are now firmly in control. And again, I think what we're going to see over the next number of weeks, we want to give Ms. Findlay the benefit of the doubt, but I think what we are going to see is probably the most divisive leader of the opposition, leader of any political party in British Columbia's history.
Well, what do you mean by that? Why Trump-like? Why do you think that's the comparison you're using here? Is that a little too extreme?
Well, I would say just watch the campaign and watch what her other competitors are saying about her. British Columbians, I think, Ryan, deserve a serious opposition focused on solutions and holding government accountable. Instead, the BC Conservatives, from what it sounds like, are going to be spending the next number of years embracing division, outrage, and the kind of politics that have become all too common south of the border. And I just want to give you a couple of examples. In her campaign, she launched a direct racist attack on one of her competitors, Peter Millibar, who is now a colleague, claiming he was in a conflict of interest on DRIPA because his wife and children are Indigenous. Now, Peter Millibar described her attack as, I quote, the worst side of politics possible, unquote. And Ian Black, who came in third place, said, and I quote, this is now a clear pattern of behavior. We lost the election in 2024 in part due to the racist comments made by our candidate, and Surrey South, who happens to be the husband of Carrie Lynn Findlay, unquote. It's not just us saying that, Ryan. This is the BC Conservatives, in fact, one caucus member and one senior leadership candidate, both in this case senior leadership candidates who made these comments.
Now, a big part of her campaign was social issues. You mentioned a few of them there. Were you surprised at all that so many British Columbians, though, the ones who are part of the BC Conservative Party, got behind her messages? I mean, you've kind of pointed them out as being divisive, but they seem to be resonating with, a good number of British Columbians.
Well, I would say that at a time when President Trump's tariffs continue to threaten Canada and Canadian jobs and industries like forestry, which is an industry I'm responsible for, the last thing British Columbians want is a party that seems determined to import Trump-style politics into our province. And so I commend the BC Conservatives for doing their obligation to elect a leader, and that's up to them to do, not up to me. But what I hear on the ground in Langford and throughout British Columbia is that people are worried about the cost of living. They're worried about finding finding a family doctor, worried about housing, good jobs, and whether the kids will have opportunities closer to home. And so what I don't believe they're asking for, and I can confirm what they're not asking for here in Langford Highlands, they're not asking for culture wars, they're not asking for political theater, and they're not asking for more anger. They want leadership, and I think that's what they're going to get with David Eby and the BC NDP. And I would say this to any of your listeners tuning in who were disappointed, maybe were leaning conservative but are moderate voters. I want you to know that you have a home with the BC NDP, and we're going to work hard over the next number of years to make sure that we can ensure very clearly that we are the engine of Canada's economy. And with $88 billion in projects in every corner of this province, we have that opportunity.
We're talking to Ravi Parmar, local MLA, getting a reaction from the NDP side after the BC Conservatives picked their leader on the weekend. Carrie Lynn Findlay emerging as the new leader. And quickly before we let you go, though, let's just put that issue aside for a second, because I know that in about half an hour, you're going to be making an announcement locally. What's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be walking over to Carlow Road, a beautiful little park right across from Spencer Middle School, to join the City of Langford and other officials, including representation from the federal government, to do a really exciting announcement. I'm just going to give you this scoop since it's only a half an hour away, Ryan, but don't tell anyone.
Okay.
We've got a really exciting announcement. We are going to be investing in partnership with the City of Langford in a new center that's going to be home for more childcare, as well as a Foundry Center. Your listeners may remember that we made an investment in Thrive to host a Foundry Center. We've got the spot, and it's going to include more services in particular for young people in this growing community of Langford.
So, new childcare center.
Childcare and Foundry, for your listeners who may not be aware, is healthcare services, in particular for young people who often don't get access to those types of services. And it's primary care, it's mental health care, substance use care, really important levels of care for young people, especially as we try to focus more on preventative care as well.
Well, that's the announcement coming down in about half an hour in Langford. There's your scoop. Ravi Parmar, MLA for Langford Highlands, also the Forest Minister, of course. Thank you so much for joining us and talking to us about all these things today.
You bet. Always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
More of your top stories of the day coming up in a few moments on CFAX 1070, 8 o'clock news with Steve Young, who's here for Lisa Best. And then we're going to be playing some ancient Egypt trivia for your chance to win the tickets to go see the new exhibit coming to the Royal BC Museum. We've also got the food. We've got the IMAX tickets. Although we've only got one to give away, so you're going to qualify to win it if you can get some trivia right. Coming up after the 8 o'clock news, sports, and weather. Stay with us.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:01 on Monday, June the 1st. We're looking at a day that's going to be sunny and warm. Highs up to 25 degrees if you're away from the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. Full forecast to come, but right now the news begins. Here's Steve Young.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. A new report says Canada's employment insurance no longer serves this country's broader and shifting workforce as more people take up gig work or part-time jobs. In its latest poverty report card, Food Banks Canada says the labor market has shifted towards part-time, temporary, and contract work, while EI only caters to a shrinking workforce that has stable full-time work with a single employer. It suggests EI eligibility is at the heart of the issue. The group's chief executive says the outdated EI system is one of the greatest threats to Canada's resiliency. Canadians will find out today how nearly 55,000 postal workers have voted on a 5-year tentative agreement with Canada Post. Members of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers have been voting since April 20th on the proposed pact that aims to end more than 2 years of labor strife over wages, job security, and the structural changes the Postal Service claims it needs to survive. Well, a new clinic could be in the cards for the View Royal area.
A potential clinic in View Royal could provide medical care to more than 4,500 residents in that area that currently do not have a physician. The proposed View Royal Community Primary Care Attachment Clinic would operate as an independent non-profit to tackle a primary care crisis in the town. An urgent need for medical care has become a growing concern across BC amid an ageing population and a chronic shortage of doctors. If approved by council, the clinic would be run by Aroga Lifestyle Medicine and would seek an initial $770,000 to get up and running. Coachcaden, CFAX 1070 News.
David Blanc, who teaches political theory at Royal Roads University, says Carrie Lynn Finlay won the leadership of the BC Conservatives because she was an authentic champion of populism with its mixture of social and cultural conservatism. Finlay beat Caroline Elliott by 2% on the fourth and final ballot. Black says Finlay will have to do some work to unify the party.
This is a party that is divided between kind of the moderate center-right and kind of the populist cultural and social conservatives. And that division was really given sharp definition by the fact that Elliott finished at 49 and Finlay at 51. Elliott had ran this interesting campaign. That's why I thought she had something of an edge, because she performed populist, but her own roots are more in the center-right, with BC United and so on.
Black says Finlay's acceptance speech touched on a familiar right-of-center themes such as public safety. The province's Seniors Advocate says BC Seniors Week is an opportunity for the public to learn more about that strengths that older adults contribute to society. Dan Levitt says seniors make meaningful contributions through their work, volunteerism, caregiving, and leadership. He says the week is also about creating an intergenerational dialogue to strengthen connections and help challenge assumptions about aging. Levitt says many seniors also face challenges such as the rising cost of living, housing instability, and difficulties accessing health and community supports. BC Seniors Week runs from now through June the 7th. A new report from BMO Economics says the upcoming FIFA World Cup soccer tournament in North America's 3 countries is expected to spur a modest lift in gross domestic product in Canada, driven by tourism and hospitality spending. Toronto and Vancouver will be hosting a combined 13 games in June and July, while the U.S. and Mexico will host dozens more. The bank's chief economist, Doug Porter, says there are real economic benefits from large sporting events like this, but it likely won't be anything other than a short-lived bump. That's your news to 8:05.
Set the table for the weekend with BC Food and Wine Radio, pointing you to great wine buys, outstanding restaurants, insider stories, and all things connected to our amazing food and wine scene. Listen every week as Anthony Gismondi sits down with top winemakers, star chefs, proprietors, and more from all over BC and around the world. Don't miss BC Food and Wine Radio with Anthony Gismondi, Saturday afternoon at 1, right here on CFAX 1070.
Today's CFAX 1070 news poll. How much would a transit strike affect you? A lot, a little, not at all. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Steve Young. If it's happening, it's here on CFAX 1070. It's 8:06.
Thank you, Steve. Hey, stay tuned. We are going to ask for somebody to call us in just a few minutes and answer a skill testing Egypt question for a chance to win tickets to this new ancient Egypt exhibit that's coming to the Royal BC Museum. If you want to qualify to win the big prize, get ready to call 250-386-1161 once I open up the phone lines. Right now, though, let's take a quick look at the weather. Mainly sunny today, highs of 25 degrees. Right now, we're already up to 15 at the Victoria International Airport. In CFAX 1070 Sports, so we got some local baseball to talk about because we have the Victoria Harbour Cats now into their season. 2 games in Portland to kick things off this weekend. Yesterday, in Portland, it was the Pickles with an 18-5 win over the Harbour Cats. They also won the opener on Friday, so the Portland gets those 2 games. The Harbour Cats now return to a friendly field, the Wilsons Group Stadium at Royal Athletic Park, where they will get the Edmonton Riverhawks in town for the home opener tomorrow at 6:35. Also, speaking of baseball, Toronto Blue Jays split a 4-game series with the host Baltimore Orioles over the weekend, and they now get a day off before opening a 3-game set tomorrow against the Braves in Atlanta. The Stanley Cup Final starts tomorrow night with the Carolina Hurricanes hosting the Vegas Golden Knights for Game 1. Carolina proved its mettle with a 5-game steamrolling of the Montreal Canadiens in the Eastern Conference Final. And Vegas swept the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche in the West. Over to some other hockey. Team Canada breezed through the preliminary round of the World Men's Hockey Championship. They had 6 regulation wins, an overtime win to top Group B. Then they went on to blank the United States 4-0 in the quarterfinals. But then a poorly timed 2-game losing streak over the weekend means we've walked away from this Men's World Hockey Championship with nothing. Canada lost 5-2 to Finland in Saturday's semifinal, then lost 3-2 yesterday to Norway in the bronze medal game. Finland beat Switzerland 1-0 in overtime in the gold medal final. So that's the result of that. Canada with no medal. That's your sports to 8:09, and I am opening up the phone lines at 250-386-1161. Here's the deal one more time. Give me a call. I'm going to pick a random caller, and you're going to get a chance to answer a skill-testing Egypt question from the Royal BC Museum. If you answer correctly, you will be qualified to win the big prize at the end of the week, which is the Ancient Egypt Prize Pack, 4 tickets to the new exhibit at the Royal BC Museum opening later this month, a $100 dining gift card, and 4 tickets to the IMAX. Phone lines are open at 250-386-1161.
Ancient Egypt, obsessed with life. Open soon at the Royal BC Museum, and CFAX wants to send you. Listen to Mornings with Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070 for your chance to win a 4-pack of passes plus dinner. More info at CFAX1070.com.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Thrifty Foods, where happy is deals and rewards in one app. Earn Scene Plus points faster, by downloading the Thrifty Foods app and linking your Scene Plus card for personalized offers just for you. In traffic, it's been an interesting morning. We've had a few blips over the course of the morning that all seem to be clearing up now, but the most recent one was a truck. We had it described as a truck that was missing a tire somehow. Don't know what happened to it, but this was the Old Island Highway just past the Elements Casino heading in towards Victoria. It's cleared now, but there might still be some residual backup if kind of the Souk Road / Island Highway route into town is seeming a little extra slow. That's probably what it is, just clearing up that backlog. And then much earlier this morning, we had a collision on the Trans-Canada Highway just past Helmkin heading in towards Victoria. That's been cleared up for quite a while. But yeah, a couple of hiccups along the way. The only thing I'm seeing now is there is report of a fender bender of some kind on Mackenzie near the Pat Bay Highway. So not on the highway itself, but on the Mackenzie kind of as you go under the overpass. If you have any updates there, or if this is causing trouble, text me at 71010. I don't know much about it, just potentially a fender bender there, Mackenzie by the Pat Bay Highway. So much happening in the wide world of traffic. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention the weather. Sunny and a high of 25 today. That's what you need to know. There's too much traffic. I can't keep track. What's happening on the markets? S&P TSX taking a bit of a nosedive, down 255 so far to 34,513. The Dow is down 245 to 50,786. The Nasdaq is up 10 to 26,983. Canadian dollar at 72.3 cents US.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, it is time for trivia. Qualify for our Ancient Egypt prize pack. Steve, this is a great prize. There's so much going on here. So great that we're just qualifying winners every day until we give away one of these big prize packs at the end of the week.
So when I go back to my normal role tomorrow, when Lisa's back in the chair, can I participate?
Are you a big Ancient Egypt guy?
Actually, I remember applying and getting to go on a school trip to see the King Tut stuff.
Really?
At the Royal Ontario Museum when I was a kid.
I bet you would do great at these questions, provided to us by the Royal BC Museum. So this isn't me concocting random trivia. This is the official stuff. And we're going to the phone lines for our first contestant. I believe this is Michael. Hello, is that Michael?
Good morning, gentlemen, and crew.
Great to get you here. Great to have you play, but I got to tell you, you haven't won yet. You got to get this question right. If you get it right, you qualify for the draw on Friday. If you get it wrong, Michael, I'm sorry, I got to be heartless, and I got to let you go and move on to the next caller. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to decide which camel saddle up here. You know, the old ancient question. Will it be one hump or two? There you go.
Well, okay, if you got the camels, you're already in the mindset for this. So here is the first question provided by the Royal BC Museum. Let's see how cruel they're going to be here. How tricky is this going to be? Which animal was especially important and respected in ancient Egypt? And it's not the camel, I'll tell you that. That's my hint. Which animal was especially important and respected in ancient Egypt?
I'll go with the cat.
That is correct.
Wow.
Well done, Michael. The cat. Yeah, the cats were super big in ancient Egypt. In both the art and as a pet, they were mummified. Of course, like you didn't just mummify humans. There's a ton of mummified cats. They were so revered.
I was thinking donkey for some reason.
Really? No. Michael nailed it with cat. Congratulations, Michael.
Well, appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You can get back to your camels now. But hang on. Don't go anywhere. Actually, you're going to put you on hold. We're going to get your information off the air. You haven't won yet, though. We are going to do the big draw on Friday. More chances to qualify with skill testing trivia all this week. Right now, it's over to the news. Here is Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. An internal document from the federal government says data from an advanced electric vehicle, if it falls into the wrong hands, could be used to track people or carry out surveillance. The Public Safety Canada memo was prepared to address concerns about Chinese vehicles in particular. It says connected vehicles can collect significant amounts of data on Canadians that officials say can have intelligence value. Multiple health organizations in the country are pushing Ottawa to bring down nicotine use among Canadians as vaping among youth continues to rise. Canadian Cancer Society analysts say data is stunningly high, with 15% of students in grades 7 to 12 reporting vaping in the last 30 days. That jumps to 27% of grade 12 students who say they've used a vape over a 30-day period. An expert on caterpillars says millions and millions of forest tent caterpillars are feasting on leaves across Alberta in a natural outbreak that only happens once a decade. Olds College instructor Ken Fry says these black caterpillars with blue and yellow markings are native to Alberta and typically appear in smaller numbers during spring and summer. It's unclear what causes their population to explode clinically, but Fry says it has to do with their health, their natural enemies, and the environment. Despite significant defoliation reported in 2025, Fry says the caterpillars help maintain forest health by removing weaker trees. And that's your news headlines to 8:17.
All right, there, just hanging up there with Michael, the qualifier for the Ancient Egypt contest. We'll do that again tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. But right now, let's switch back to one of the big stories we're covering this morning, the emergence of Carrie Lynn Findlay as the leader of the BC Conservative Party, passing Caroline Elliott by 2% of support in the final ballot on Saturday. Some observers have been surprised by this. And Findlay is already taking heat from some of her socially conservative views, raising the question of if she'll be able to, bring together the party and also, bring in the center of the electorate in a general election. One of the former BC Conservative candidates, he didn't make it all the way to the end. He didn't stick around for the full race, but, back when we had like 12 different candidates running, one of them is joining us on the phone next to weigh in on how things went. We're going to get to that in just a moment after traffic and weather. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, the South Island's elite plus Fujitsu air stage dealer. On the roads, things have cleared up after a couple of earlier blips. The most recent one was that truck blew a tire or something on the Old Island Highway just past the Elements Casino in View Royal. It seems like the crash is cleared, but we're still seeing quite a slowdown on Souk Road, kind of heading in towards the Island Highway there. So if you're hitting that backup and it seems worse than usual, I think we're just clearing through that backlog after that truck incident earlier. The rest of the morning commute is looking pretty normal at this time. No sailing waits at BC Ferries. And the weather, man, a warm one. Sunny, highs of 25 today, but cooler by the ocean. If you're by the Juan de Fuca Strait, it's going to be more like 17 degrees. So it'll be quite a difference if you head inland from being right up against the Juan de Fuca Strait. Tonight, a few clouds, lows to 11. Tomorrow, mainly sunny again, highs of 25 expected again, except cooler by the water. And right now it's 15 degrees.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
BC politics. We have invited the new leader of the BC Conservative Party, Carrie Lynn Findlay, to join us, and hopefully we'll get her on the radio at some point. It doesn't look like it's going to work out this morning, but we'll keep asking, and we'll keep trying to get her on to talk about her win and her plans for the party. But we continue to get reaction this morning to this result, and our next guest on this actually was a candidate at one point for the BC Conservative leadership race. He didn't get all the way to the end, but he was there at some point. He's also a professor of economics at Langara. Brian Breguet is joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great to get you here. So we wanted to get you to weigh in. I guess just first off, what stands out to you? I guess you were watching this probably pretty closely on Saturday. What's your first thoughts on this result?
Well, I think how close it was, right? I mean, and now that we've got the full results, we really can see that it's essentially a question of like 50, 60 votes here and there. So this was really close between the top three candidates. The other thing is really the fact that, if 2 months ago you had told me that Carrie Findlay would win, I would not have believed you. But she did.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned that close result. I think in the final round, so it went to 4 ballots. It was Carrie Lynn Findlay versus Caroline Elliott right at the end, and Carrie Lynn Findlay with 51% of the vote over Caroline Elliott's 49%. So that's how razor thin that result was. And what do you think that shows you? What does that tell you?
Well, this is a party that is pretty divided, right? And it's divided on many issues, ultimately terms, but I think ultimately it became a war a battle between the establishment and the grassroots movement. And Carrie Findlay managed to at least appear as the grassroots, true conservative, anti-establishment candidate, and that was enough to get slightly over 50%.
Now, You've been commenting along the way because you're in the race yourself. You did drop out, and I'll talk about that in just a quick second. But one of the things you've talked about is you've kind of speculated online, at least I've read this, that maybe Caroline Elliott, who got all the way to that last ballot, lost narrowly at the end, might have suffered from getting staff from Ontario politics and kind of flying them into her campaign. Do you have any context you could share about that?
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds, absurd at face value, but I genuinely believe it hurt her campaign. Caroline Elliott knew that going in, she was going to be seen as, she's the sister-in-law of Kevin Falcon. She was the vice president of BC United. So she had to essentially establish herself as a bona fide conservative. And the idea of going to get your staff from Corey Teneke and other Ontario people who are not very well liked here in the base of the Conservative Party was most likely a mistake. And when you lose by 60 votes and 180 points, those small mistakes do add up. So I think she took the wrong team. Many senior staff on her team were incredibly obnoxious the entire election. And I'm not the only one saying it. I've seen text messages and DMs sent from the senior staff to volunteers that are really so inappropriate, so offensive, so rude. And so I do think, that wasn't the main issue. Most people most likely were not aware of this. This is really reserved or contained within people who are, let's call them terminally online, like myself, who spend a lot of time on X or Twitter. But when it's a leadership of 25,000 voters, a conservative base, a lot of these people are terminally online and will be moved by such mistakes.
You yourself, you were a leadership candidate at one point. Why did you drop out of it?
Oh, no, I wasn't a candidate. It's either a joke or a misunderstanding. No, I was a candidate for the party in 2024, but I never decided to run for this race.
Okay, so you're never in the leadership run, but you have been a BC Conservative candidate in the past, so you have that connection to the party.
Correct.
So with Carrie Lynn Findlay leading this party, is this a party you would want to run for again?
No, anyway, I don't want to run again. I don't want my wife to be mad at me again. She was quite mad last time. When,
so, you wouldn't have done it anyways, okay. But hypothetically.
No, I wouldn't have done it anywhere. No, I mean, I will be honest, and it's very public. Karen Finlay was not my number one choice. I would give her a chance, but, I rank her 4th or 5th on my ballot, so no.
Now, do you think, though, so just sort of stepping back now, maybe not your candidate, maybe not somebody you would want to be up in the party as leader. But do you think when it comes to the general election, she could become the next premier?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the situation in BC is so bad between the public finance and the jury pass / property rights issue. And we see that the numbers for WDB is starting to become a little bit like the Trudeau of BC. So if at the very least, if WDB remains the leader of the NDP, I think all 5 of the leadership candidates would win a general election against him, including Karen Finlay.
Well, I think that's some good perspective here because, even though it might not have been the candidate you would have chosen to go forward, you still think this BC Conservative Party, regardless of the leader, is a better option than what we got with the NDP right now.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've seen multiple elections. We've seen it in 2024. It's not like John Rustad was this amazing, charismatic leader, and he still came within 200 votes of being premier. So BC politics is very divided, very polarized, and I don't think it matters that much who's the leader on the right.
Well, there's a perspective from Brian Breguet. He's a professor of economics at Langara. He has been a BC Conservative candidate in the past, not a leadership candidate. My apologies for being misleading there. But you did run for this party before, and that's your take on this result. Much appreciated. Anything else you want to add? Final word to you.
No, I mean, I mentioned it last night on Twitter, but the fact that Caroline Elliott only won in Vancouver and North Van is a really bad look given her campaign and all the money she had.
Well, we'll leave it there, but much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And again, we will continue to cover that story. We'll get more reaction to it, and we do have an ask out to Carrie Lynn Findlay herself. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to talk to her in person at some point on the show. But right now, we'll take a quick break. 8:30 News with Steve is coming up next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Victoria Track Classic is June 12th at Centennial Stadium. Details at runsport.ca/Track Classic. Help care for local wildlife and enter to win the Wild Arc Raffle. June 1st through 18th, you can buy your tickets at spca.bc.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 8:30 on this Monday, June 1st. Warm and sunny, highs up to 25 degrees, cooler by the water. That's what we can expect today. Right now, outside the CFAX studios in Esquimalt, we are sitting at 11 degrees. Well, I see it's already 15 at the airport. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now, here's the news with Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Langford getting more childcare space and a new facility to support youth. Announcement made this morning at a news conference taking place right now. Forest Minister Rafi Parmar was on with Ryan earlier and explains the project on Carlow Road.
We are going to be investing in partnership with the City of Langford in a new center that's going to be home for more childcare, as well as a Foundry Center. Your listeners may remember that we made an investment in Thrive to host a Foundry Center. We've got the spot, and it's going to include more services in particular for young people in this growing community of Langford.
Foundry West Shore will support the health and wellness needs of youth and families in the West Shore area, including Langford, Colwood, Metchosin, the Highlands, Souk, and Port Renfrew. A delegation made up of British Columbia elected officials and those from the mining industry are pitching BC in Ottawa today. They held a news conference before meeting with federal departments and officials. President and CEO of the Mining Association of BC, Michael Gehring, says BC's ready to move on projects.
We're here in Ottawa today to meet with federal officials as part of a coordinated Team BC effort to advance $79 billion in major mining and critical mineral projects and position Canada as a leading global supplier of responsibly produced minerals and metals that our allies and partners need.
The goal to move those projects forward with the federal government. A Public Safety Canada memo urges Canadians to be mindful of the security and privacy risks associated with the digital devices they buy and use. The internal government document was prepared to address concerns about Chinese-made electrical vehicles. It says data from an advanced electrical vehicle that falls into the wrong hands could be used to track people or conduct surveillance. The note adds that opening Canadian markets to new players can amplify the presence of high-risk vendors. Prime Minister Mark Carney set to speak in Toronto today about how his government hopes to confront anti-Semitism.
Carney's remarks will come less than a month after Toronto police responded to 3 visibly Jewish community members being shot at with an imitation firearm. Advocacy group B'nai B'rith says anti-Semitic incidents topped 6,800 in 2025, the highest it's recorded since 1982. The increase follows the October 2023 attack by Hamas on Israel, which prompted Israel to bomb the Gaza Strip, drawing widespread condemnation. Noah Shak with the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs says events in the Middle East have fueled hatred and violence. He says Ottawa must do more to strengthen community security and combat hate. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
There's growing environmental concerns along the Columbia River after last week's tank implosion at the Nippon Dynawave paper mill in Longview, Washington.
State crews say they're now finding large numbers of dead fish downstream from the plant, and early water tests show elevated levels of industrial chemicals. It's too soon to say exactly what caused the die-off, but the timing has investigators looking closely at the spill. The Seattle Times reporting ecology teams have containment booms in place, and tribal and fishing groups are calling for a full, transparent review as cleanup work continues. I'm Monica Nelson.
Heated rivalry dominated this year's Canadian Screen Awards, winning a record-setting 16 trophies, including Audience Choice, Best Drama Series, and Best Lead Actor for Hudson Williams. The BC-born actor plays Shane Hollander, a reserved hockey player, in a romance with a rival. During his acceptance speech, Williams expressed a wish to share the award with his co-star.
If I could cut this award down the middle, I would, because if these gay, yearning little bottom eyes didn't have a big, sexy Russian to feast upon, my performance wouldn't be as good. So to the honorary Canadian Connor Story, I share this award with you. Thank you.
The Crave series added to 13 wins from Saturday's scripted TV gala, but Story was ineligible to claim any awards because he's American and the show's not eligible for the Emmys due to being fully Canadian produced. That's your news, 8:35. Today's CFAX 1070 News Poll. How much would a transit strike affect you? A lot, a little, not at all. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Steve Young. If it's happening, it's here on CFAX 1070. It's 8:36.
Hey, thanks, Steve, and good morning. Sunny and warm today. Highs up to 25 degrees. We're at 15 at the airport right now. Full forecast to come. Right now, over to the sports. Victoria Harper Cats are in action. They've got their season underway. They played a couple of games over the weekend in Portland, so they were on the road to start things off. Yesterday, Portland Pickles used a 9-run fourth inning to overcome what was a early 3-0 lead on the part of the Harper Cats, but in the end, the Pickles, after that huge inning, go on to cruise to an 18-5 win over the Harper Cats in West Coast League action. That was yesterday in Portland. Portland also won the Friday game, so a couple down for the Harper Cats, but now they come home to do their home opener tomorrow against the Edmonton Riverhawks at Wilson's Group Stadium at Royal Athletic Park. So that's tomorrow, 6:35, home opener for the Harper Cats baseball team. Speaking of baseball, Blue Jays, they have a day off today. After splitting a 4-game series with the host Baltimore Orioles, they will play tomorrow against the Braves in Atlanta. Canada's national men's soccer team has an international friendly tonight in Edmonton against Uzbekistan. Canada trying to figure out who's going to be the goalkeeper once we do this thing for real. Come the World Cup opener June 12th in Toronto against Bosnia-Herzegovina at BMO Field. And then Canada will also play a friendly on Friday against Ireland. The Memorial Cup ended with the Kitchener Rangers defeating the Everett Silvertip 6-2 last night. So it's the Eastern guys who win the Memorial Cup this time around. This was all going on in Kelowna yesterday. And that's your CFAX 1070 Sports to 8:37. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Things are starting to just ease off a little bit out there after a couple of problems. There was this truck without a tire or blown tire on the Old Island Highway just past the Elements Casino. Heading in towards Victoria earlier this morning. That's all cleared up at this point. Looking for the backlog to finish clearing there, but it's actually looking better than it was by now. I have reports of a fender bender now at Gorge Road West at Tillicum, sort of where Tillicum meets Gorge. I don't have much information. If you have any updates there, 71010, please do text me. But Tillicum at Gorge, reports of a fender bender. Otherwise, we're starting to clear up into the later part of this commute. For the weather forecast, let me give you some details here because this is looking pretty good for the next couple of days. Sunny and highs of 25 today. Quite warm. Much cooler, though, if you're by the Windy Wandafuka Strait. It's only about 17 degrees as a high there. So very different experiences in Greater Victoria depending on where you are today. Partly cloudy tonight. Little wind. Lows down to 11 degrees tonight. Then tomorrow, mainly sunny again. Highs of 25, but cooler by the water. For Wednesday, clouds over. Still warm. Highs of 23. Thursday, mix of sun and cloud, highs of 19. And then a chance of showers showing up for sort of Friday, Saturday. We will see the temperatures coming down to the high teens again by that, stretch into the weekend with the chance of showers. But very warm for the first couple of days of June here. On the markets in Toronto, S&P TSX down 169 to 34,599. The Dow in New York is down 144 to 50,887. NASDAQ up 43 to 27,016. The Canadian dollar at 72.3 cents U.S., which is down a couple of fractions of a cent from the close on Friday. And the barrel of oil up $6.35 U.S. a barrel. That's up to $93.71. Things looking like maybe they're going up after news of some shots fired on either side of the Iran-U.S. Conflict.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
I don't know, Steve. I think that sounds a little like AC/DC. Anyways, Steve, that's the sound of AC/DC.
That's, yes. Back in Black, all that kind of stuff.
It's time to text ROCK to 71010 if you want to be qualified for the next Artist of the Week. So AC/DC coming to Vancouver this summer. That is who you could go and see with Helijet flights, with accommodations by the Rosedale and Robson Suite Hotel. It's all powered by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt. Text me at 71010 right now, the word ROCK, to be qualified. And we'll call somebody on Monday with the big prize. I love this. Man, and by the way, there's still more to come. The CFAX Summer of Rock is not even done this week. We've got Guns N' Roses still to come. So many chances to win. So many cool concerts coming to Vancouver all this summer. Stand by for that. So, Steve.
Fire away.
I got something else for you.
What do you got?
So I've been talking in the sports about how the Harper Cats are back in action.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we got baseball back.
I have purchased a ticket for tomorrow night's game.
You'll be at the home opener.
I will.
Oh, that's going to be good. That's gonna
behind
be great.
home plate.
They do such a great job, just like the whole event. The baseball games are always such a neat event. There's the baseball, but there's also just, everything they do surrounding it is always pretty cool. But I've got a bit of a conundrum here, a bit of an issue.
Okay, fire away.
Because myself and Lisa Best, who's usually in your seat there, we have been invited to throw out a first pitch. Not Tuesday, but a few games in.
Okay.
So we'll be showing up to throw a ceremonial first pitch. And I haven't thrown a baseball in a while. So, Steve, you're sports guy, Steve. Would you be willing this week to take a break, go to the field with me?
Absolutely, my friend. The last thing I want to see is CFAX embarrassed on a baseball field.
So, Steve, you got to save me. I'll give you one just to give myself a little credit. I did this once before, years ago. Like 10 years ago for the Harper Cats. I did get invited to toss out a first pitch, and I did manage to get all the way to home plate, which made me very pleased.
So.
Yeah.
Did you dabble in social media last week with Travis Kelce and the announcement that he had bought a minority share in the Cleveland Indians?
Yeah, so he's got some baseball ambitions.
Sorry, it's not the Indians anymore. It's the Guardians.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And they actually panned back to him throwing out the first pitch at a game last season.
How'd he do?
It didn't make it halfway.
Okay.
And dude is like 6'7", 240.
Pro athlete.
So I don't think you have too much to worry about.
I don't have to worry. Now, do you have any tips, though? Any advice to anybody who's got to throw a first pitch? If this ever comes up in your life, what's your advice, Steve?
Throw the ball a few times.
Yeah?
Because what has happened is you're going to first of all, if you haven't done it for a while, all the muscles and tendons and all that stuff in there is going to say, whoa, what is that? So throw it, and when you get to the park, I want you to do that 10 or 11 times too. Because at the park, you're under a little bit of stress. You know that 4,000 or 5,000 people are watching you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's not even so much about can I throw a baseball. I feel like it can, but can I throw a baseball when the moment happens and all the eyes are on you? Texter at 71010 has advice for me.
Okay, fire away.
So you can rate this advice, Steve. Let Lisa throw out the first pitch. So that's the solution. Just let Lisa do it. And girl power, says the text. I like that.
I have already been working with Lisa on this.
Oh, have you been throwing with her?
Well, I haven't thrown with her, but I actually did a demonstration of how to properly throw a ball from my years coaching softball.
Well, that's why you're the guy.
Yes.
Okay, well, Lisa, Steve, and I will head out to a field and practice, and maybe we'll put up some pictures of how that went on the social media, so stay tuned. I think it's later this week. Later this week, Lisa and I are going to be throwing out that first pitch at a Harbor Cats game, so come see us. Right now, though, it's the headlines. Here's Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. South Korean defense firm Hanwha says it's reached a deal with Algoma Steel to supply military-grade steel for the possible manufacturing of land defense vehicles in Canada. Hanwha said in April it had reached a separate agreement with Canada's Automotive Manufacturers Parts Association on a prospective joint venture to make military land vehicles for the Canadian Armed Forces and for export to allies. These agreements, which would support industries hit hard by U.S. tariffs, are contingent on Hanwha winning Canada's contract to supply the Navy with a fleet of up to 12 submarines. An analyst says the winner of the BC Conservative Party leadership race this weekend won because she's an authentic champion of populism within the broader Conservative movement. David Black teaches political theory at Royal Roads. He says Carrie Lynn Finley's victory over Carolyn Elliott confirms the party's turn towards populism. TV's heated rivalry, which you can see on Crave, scored a record-setting 16 wins at the Canadian Screen Awards in the last week, including 3 at Sunday night's live broadcast. The steamy series on Crave about 2 closeted gay hockey players won Best Drama, Audience Choice, and Best Lead Performer for its BC-born star, Hudson Williams. And that's your news headlines to 8:47.
Coming up next, interesting story to cover. So we've talked about the snowbirds, of course, who will be taking a pause. The old Tudor jets that we've been flying since the 60s will be retired. And there'll be this break while we wait for new planes to come. And maybe sometime in 2030, the snowbirds and the aerobatic displays will return. But this is the last summer for the snowbirds as they are. Or is it? My next guest is a retired snowbird pilot. He and others of the alumni from the Snowbirds are campaigning to try to get the current Snowbirds to stick around, to bridge the gap. What's going on here? Is this even a possibility? Well, my next guest seems to think so, and we're going to talk to him next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
Victoria Track Classic is June 12th at Centennial Stadium. Details at runsport.ca/Track Classic. Help care for local wildlife and enter to win the Wild Arc Raffle. June 1st through 18th, you can buy your tickets at spca.bc.ca.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. Well, the latest blip on the commute in a morning filled with little hiccups here and there is at Tillicum Gorge, where there was a report of a fender bender earlier. It still seems to be tying things up, and here's what listeners are saying at 7:10:10. Texter says, Gorge at Tillicum still backed up on the right, headed eastbound. So watch out for a crash there. It's the only thing currently causing trouble, but you can text me at 7:10:10 if you have anything else causing trouble, or maybe you got an update on Tillicum at Gorge with a collision being dealt with right now. For the weather forecast, sunny and a high of 25 today, a little cooler by the water where the wind blows. Partly cloudy tonight, lows down to 11. Another warm, sunny one tomorrow as we really start June off with some warm weather. Sunshine tomorrow, highs of 25 again, cooler by the water. Clouds over on Wednesday, still warm, 23 is the high. Thursday, it's a mix of sun and cloud with temperature up to 19. Then on Friday and the weekend, it kind of goes down into the teens again, temperature-wise. We'll be in kind of the 15 to 18 degree range as a high. And a chance of showers could show up by Friday and into the weekend. We'll watch and see how that shapes up, though, as we get a little closer to that long-range forecast becoming a reality. Right now, for the temperatures in Langford, we're already up to 16 degrees. In Oak Bay by the water, it's 17.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Yeah, it's warming up fast. By the way, Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Happy as deals and rewards in one app. Earn Scene Plus points faster by downloading the Thrifty Foods app and linking your Scene Plus card for personalized offers just for you. Up next, we're going to talk about the snowbirds. My next guest is part of a campaign trying to get the old Tudor jets flying for a little longer to bridge the gap so we don't have to go through these years of no snowbird aerobatic displays while we wait for new planes. Let me introduce Dan Dempsey, Lieutenant Colonel, retired, and member of the Snowbirds Alumni Association. Sir, how you doing?
Good morning, Ryan. I'm doing very well on such a beautiful day. Thank you.
Great to get you here. So you were a former Snowbird pilot yourself?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I did 2 tours on the team. My first year was way back in 1980-81. I was Snowbird 9, one of the solo pilots, doing the head-on maneuvers. And then I had the privilege of coming back and leading the team for our 20th anniversary, quite a long time ago, back in 1989-1990. So I'm very familiar with the team, but I've been sort of involved with the team, I guess you could say, for about 45 years now.
Wow, so you got a pretty close connection to this. What was your reaction when you heard the news that the Snowbirds would be, well, the current jets would be retired and there'd be this pause before we see anything come back while we await new planes? What was your thoughts when you first heard that?
Well, disappointed. Like all snowbirds, all members of our alumni association, indeed, I would say millions of Canadians across the country, very disappointed that we've taken the stance that we can't keep the Tudor flying because we believe it's safe. We know it's safe, actually, and we think there's a better way. And so that's why we've started this, no pause, keep the snowbirds flying campaign. It's a national campaign right across Canada, and we're just asking the government and the RCF to consider other options that will allow us to keep the team flying until we can get a new aircraft. And then, again, that's going to be into the 2030s for sure. So there's a way to do it, and that's what we're asking for in that conversation. We want Canadians to get involved.
Well, why do you think that the old Tudor jets, built in the 60s, is my understanding, why do you think that they can keep flying? Because they are getting a little long in the tooth.
Well, they are, for sure. They're getting long in the tooth. But we know what safety procedures are built into those aircraft. It's an all-metal airplane. It's very easy, relatively speaking, to determine where stress and strain is on the aircraft. Every aircraft has got stress and strain gauges, and they're very, very carefully monitored and checked out every single day. So we know that they're safe. We feel 100% confident that people can put that away. I don't think this decision is not about the safety of the aircraft per se. I think it's more about personnel. The Canadian Forces are very short of personnel, and I think that, and we understand that, and we want to support ways to try and help the Canadian Forces and the RCF help get more people into the Canadian Forces. And we think the best way to do that is to keep the snowbirds flying through to the end of 2030 on the Tudor with a reduced team to make the airplanes last, and then have a seamless transition onto a new aircraft. And, there's a very similar situation developing right now with the Royal Air Force Red Arrows. And that announcement just came out a couple days after the announcement on May 19th here that the Red Arrows are going to do exactly that. They're reducing their team down to 7 aircraft instead of 9 to make a seamless transition into the 2030s with whatever new jet aircraft they decide to purchase for their next lead-in trainer, and that's what they're going to be using.
Okay, well, anyways, this is the campaign the Snowbirds Alumni Association announced on Friday. The No Pause, Keep the Snowbirds Flying campaign. How will this work? How do you hope to turn the government's decision around here?
Well, I think what we need is a groundswell of Canadian support, and we're starting to see that right across the country. There's a lot of media taking place. People are starting to write in to the government, whether it's to their local member of parliament, to the prime minister directly, and just express their concerns. And this is what it's going to take. We need thousands of people to stand up for the snowbirds. We've been motivating people here for 55 years and inspiring the youth of our nation, as role models for Canada and so on and so forth. And so we just think that there's a groundswell of support, and we think the government might just, with all of this background that we're providing now, might just consider a better way to do this.
Well, if you want people to join the cause, how can they do that? Is there like a place that you want them to write or a specific thing to do? What's the takeaway here?
Well, the takeaway, I think, first of all, is if you're concerned, as we are, we'd like you to write your member of parliament, pick up the phone, talk to your member of parliament, write a letter to the prime minister. Let the prime minister know how important this is to Canadians. There is also the Conservative Party of Canada, and this is certainly not this situation transcends politics, but the Conservative Party has started a petition, which is online. You can find that petition and sign that petition, just basically stating, we want the snowbirds to continue unabated through the end of 2030 on the Tudor, and then transition into a new aircraft. So that's what we're asking Canadians to consider doing, and they are in fact doing it. We're seeing a lot of positive responses already.
There's the campaign, and that's my guest, Dan Dempsey, Lieutenant Colonel retired. He is a former snowbird pilot himself with the Snowbirds Alumni Association. Great to talk to you. Good luck with this, and I hope we can reconnect if things go well.
Yeah, listen, just while I've got you, Ryan, I just want to point out that on the 3rd of August at the BC Aviation Museum, there's an open house. We're going to have the Snowbird team there in person to sign autographs. And on the 4th of August, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, down on Dallas Road, the Snowbirds are going to be doing their full 9-plane demonstration, and there will be tens of thousands of people down to watch it. So we want to encourage people to come out and support the Snowbirds. And if you get a chance, meet them in person. That will really convince you. If you're not already convinced about the importance of the snowbirds to the country, that will certainly do it for you.
Those are great reminders. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ryan. All the best to you.
All right, cheers. But we are right at a time. I got to go. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with you tomorrow. 9 o'clock news with Steve is next. And thank you to Morgana Adby for producing today's show.